Hi, namaste everyone. Good evening from India. Good morning to US and the whole world. Today we have Kim joining us from Raleigh and Willie from Australia.
Good
Hi, Kim. Hi.
morning, everybody.
How are
Good
you?
morning. Good, very early morning to you, Willie.
Good morning. Good morning. How are we?
Doing great. Doing great. I'm enjoying the blessings that come out of staying home instead of looking at the negative. How about you, Willie?
I'm good. Within the accelerator program, I've mapped out a 90-day programs. So that's what I've started yesterday. Day one of 90-day COVID program. So I'm going to do a 90-day where every day I post something.
There you go. That's awesome. Setting goals and meeting them. That's what's important. Consistency.
Consistency and showing up positive every day.
Yes. I mean, that's what you have to do. We need to look at what is going to be our brighter future. So many people are scared about not having the money,
Yes.
and I'm scared for them as well, because many people live paycheck to paycheck. They think many wealthy people are going to be okay, but honestly, I know a lot of wealthy people that live paycheck to paycheck, and if they were relying on the stock to pay them, they're not going to have it. Our stimulus program only protects people who make $75,000 and under. So, and as you reach the 75,000 mark, your stimulus reward is less, not more. So people who rely on more income are going to get less protection. And people who don't rely on more income, but generally probably truly live day by check, are going to get more. But that's the way the stimulus program has always worked in the U.S. And I thank God it's there. I thank God that He gives people the mindset to look after people. But I think we need to be smart about it. I think we leaped too soon, because I think people are going to need more longer, and it only protects us a short period of time. But let's talk happy stuff. Back with Ankit. We have a guest.
So we have Ashok today joining from New York. Hi, Ashok. Good morning. Namaste. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm good. How are you?
Ashok, hi.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
We're good.
That's nice. Trying to stay safe,
What's
right?
the story from New York? Because across the world, people are looking after the stories from New York. What do you have to say today?
Well, definitely. I mean, those are the facts. There's nothing different that we can talk about. The death rates are going up, and the crisis, especially in the New York City. The government is working hard. The local agencies are working hard. Everybody is putting their own effort. But yes, I mean, I think we are at the peak in New York right now. We hope this social distancing and the precautionary methods that everybody is following flattens the curve, and then we will see eventually it's going down. But I don't know when. I mean, I don't know if anybody knows when at this point.
What are the major concerns in New York? Because my son lives up there right now. He just moved up there. I'm very scared. You hear so much. By the time the grapevine gets to us, it sounds like a horror movie. So, and I don't trust them. I'm sorry. I know we're not media people. IBM TV is not media. We might be talking about current events, but we're not paid for. So what is really happening up there? Can you share with us?
Well, where I am right now in Albany, there's not many cases. I think I've last heard there were about 140 cases or something. But having said that, the facilities here in the region handle very well, because we do have enough capacity in the region, and I'm sure they are trying to share the resources to accommodate the cases across the state, because we have some capacity here. But that doesn't mean that doesn't mean we can take it easy in the region. They're still following the social distancing, and everybody is still working from home. And the last we were told, middle of last week, we're going to be working from home until April 15th. So that way nobody can spread. I mean, if anything, but then once we get to that point, who knows whether that's enough or we still have to continue. Yeah, but
April
social
15th
distancing is.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, keep going. Excuse me. You said
No.
something, but go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, April 15th is the so far, hope for the current world, especially in the region. And the major news yesterday, and there were some updates from the governor's office and other places that we received yesterday. Obviously, President Trump was trying to isolate the tri-states so that nobody can probably get the spread to the other states, which logically may be a right way, but I don't know how that is going to help the people who are in crisis, because right now there is so much these local agencies that governments cannot handle. So they are looking for the federal help, and even the tools and resources what they need. Obviously, they have to depend on the federal level, whether it is budget wise, resources wise. So I've seen back and forth, and also there was some sort of friction between the New York State government and then the Rhode Island government yesterday. And I don't want to speculate more on that at this point, but I know there is something. The governor of New York is trying to threaten the Rhode Island government that he potentially wants to sue them if they try to. I think it's a travel ban on New Yorkers, but let's see. I mean,
how do we control a travel ban in the United States when some states are going to be with it? So you could be driving through one state, everything's fine. Drive through another state, they're going to arrest you or ticket you. I mean, you might not know this, but that's a good question to ask. How do we that? And that's, I know that we're arguing amongst ourselves, but that would be a good answer to find. How do we control this in the States?
Well, there were a couple of things that they were citing it to, ID check of the travelers and license plate check. I don't know if that means everything, because if I'm driving on a highway, if I'm going at like 80 miles per hour, and you can probably read my license plate, but I could also be traveling in a rental car which has a different state ID. So I don't know how you're gonna check the license plates and then distinguish the people that way. But yeah, if you pull them over, then probably you're checking on an actual.
Oh dear, I hate it when this happens.
That's okay. So we've been really good here in Australia. The curve for the actual deaths have gone up 16, but that has been like on a gradual rise from 11, 13, and 16, only 3. So fingers crossed it stays on that trajectory.
So can you answer to us, Willie, what did they do different in Australia? Have they made any changes to
the lockdown is still in place? The lockdown is still in place, the social distancing. And we had a guy walking around, a clip of a guy. He had a carton that was 1 meter wide. And it was like a tutu dress. And it had like, the tapes for hazardous tape. And it had hazardous tapes on the front. And he's walking down the street with his tutu dress. It was hilarious.
Billy, can we have that clip or image to show to our viewers that how that cartoon in the clip works?
Okay, I'll look for it.
We've seen people joking around months ago wearing a tent over their head going to work, and it had like a window here. Yep. And I thought that was actually smart. But that was before this pandemic started. Yep. They were talking about just the basic flu and cold.
Yep.
But these are good measures. I think a little laughter is very, very good for our immune system. However, the letters that we received from Italy ask us to not joke so much, to take this very serious.
Yes.
But but we need to joke a little.
Yes.
And we need to get the right information out to people. That's why I
Yes.
wanted to make sure that we talk to everyone. So what else are you doing? You've done some, they're still standing true to the lockdown. Are people
Yes.
listening this time?
Yes, you're doing just the same. You can go out for exercise, but you still need to do the social distancing. No more than two. No more than two in a group, and that two can include one other, and not necessarily a family member. The one other is like if there's a personal trainer involved, so
Okay.
that can accommodate that scenario.
I mean, we don't want people to get lonely here.
Yes.
Self-isolation can be very lonely.
It
So,
is. No, but it's okay. I'm an introvert, so I'm in my element here.
for all the public work I do, I am in my element as well. So I agree.
I think everyone likes their own pace, and this is the time we can keep our own pace alive, and we still do a lot of things. That's
Yes,
what
yes.
I get strength when I'm alone, because I get strength when I'm alone and I'm away from everyone. And on a cup of coffee, I do a lot of things.
Yep.
Thinking, planning, evaluating myself, thinking about others and solutions and all. Because I don't want any disturbance, any kind of phone calls make me disturbed. So I like my own time.
Right. So So, Ashok, we got you back on from New York area up in the, so share with us a little bit more about the tri-state concerns and how they think that this might calm things down.
Well,
get it under control.
I think the concerns are real, because the death roll is going up every day. Since the pandemic started, we have seen about 672 deaths in the region. I mean, especially New York City. So that was as of Saturday afternoon, and it was only 450 up to Friday. So
Wow.
there were 222 deaths in 24 hours. So there is a reason why people are concerned, why they want to isolate the New York City or tri-state region. But again, I mean, it's about 52,000 cases so far in the U.S. and I mean in New York, and then 728 deaths in the country, and then we are talking about so much here in the region. So there is a scary factor right now. But again, I don't know how much that means. Everything can be isolated. Because these guys have to rely on certain transportation to bring in the resources. So that would probably bring certain concerns from the local agencies, the health departments and stuff. But I'm sure there would be, because the last I heard is Trump sort of going back on his plan. I mean, he might not want to impose that quarantine on the tri-state region. So let's see how that goes.
What are the thoughts in New York about going forward on the tri-state? What are the opinions?
I mean, it's hard to say, because
right. This does not mean they're right. What are the opinions?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely everybody wants to contribute their part. Yes, if you need to be isolated, you need to be isolated. But the major concern is like, there are certain things, whether you want the grocery coming in, or whether you want the other supplies coming into your stores, or you want the healthcare resources coming in. There is always certain transportation need that's needed for everybody to survive within this quarantined area, right? So we cannot be just isolated to say that that's it, we are not touching these guys and nothing can go in or out of that region, because that puts a lot of concern. So those are the major concerns. But otherwise, I mean, so many stores already ran out of lots of stuff, or they have changed their policies to put a number figure, or the some sort of threshold saying that you cannot take more than 1 pack of this or 2 pack of that. And on top of that, the return policies have changed. People have realized that if something going to somebody's house and coming back, if the person had some sort of a virus, they don't want to take the product back. So things have been changing drastically for the last couple of days.
Well, and that's something to think about that we just don't think about day-to-day life because it's just so natural, right? Whether we bought something, needed to return it, but some other things, you mentioned the word April 15th, that's another big deadline in the United States. It's a big day because it's tax day. And, they have extended tax day from what I'm told, which I find odd because we're all sitting at home. For those of us who are not sick or capable, we should be able to get our taxes in, unless you mail them in, but or your tax accountant can't get to you and help you. But to let the world know, our tax day moved out to July.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
The same thing happened in India.
April 15th, right?
Yeah.
It's a day to look forward to anyway, rather than not look forward to. So
that's true. Yeah.
So Kim, I would like to ask a quick question that do people wait till 15th April to file the taxes, or they file before, till the end of the March? How it happens and how people approaches the tax day?
Well, you can file up to that date any day, starting January 1st. But most people might be sitting back and waiting.
But Ashok, I think you got my answer that you got my question that in India people wait till the last date before.
I know, yes.
That's why
not everybody is well organized, like you probably heard last time when I was on the show with John, and John was also trying to file taxes, and I was trying to do mine, but it's not easy. You have other things going on, and that takes a little while, and then people try to get it done, but sometimes you're not really getting it done until the last moment.
Yeah, because what happened in India that government have postponed the dates till 30th June. So we have 3 months room to, pay all those taxes and the required bills and EMIs and everything. We postponed till 3 months. So that's what happened in India.
Well, it's a similar approach here now. Your mortgage payments and then your debt, if you have any debt collections, those are all on hold right now. Even the governor himself announced in the New York State that nobody can, including the tenants, if you're renting a property and if you're not paying the rent for a month or two, nobody can kick you out at this point. Because they're better crisis than money, so they're not worried about just the money aspect at this point. And including, I'm sure the Indian government is also trying to send some checks to below income people for their day-to-day living. So as here, and I'm sure you guys might have discussed how Trump has signed $2 trillion going out to people. So it's the same thing. New York State is also trying to help the people who are in need, and they're going to be getting their checks. And obviously, like I said, on the rentals and debt collections, everything is so far a waiver. They got a couple of months, including the insurance. We received a letter from the insurance company, from the marketplace. You don't have to make a payment for the kids' insurance for 2 months. So I think they're trying to help people in these situations. And they even opened the helpline numbers. If anybody forces you for payments, or if somebody discriminates you because you had symptoms, or your family member had to admit, all those helplines are in place as well. So the governments are doing great at this point, honestly. This is something nobody expected, right? I don't think the world was prepared for this thing.
They weren't prepared, but they're stepping up to the plate. And sometimes you can play better when you're...
We cannot hear you, Kim. Maybe I think your microphone might be muted.
Oh, it was, and now it's not. All right, there we go. You're right. We weren't prepared, but we're stepping up to the plate, and
we cannot hear you.
Oh,
no, I can hear you.
You can? I can hear her. Okay.
I can hear you. So today we have we have a new guest, Dr. Amandeep. She's an ophthalmologist from Mohali, Punjab, and she has done a lot of good work closely with the COVID patients in the past. And she would like to share her story and how she's taking care of the situation and what kind of advices she has for all these patients around the world. Dr. Aman?
Nice.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Dr. Amandeep. I'm from India, Punjab. So in India, we have a very diverse population, diverse education status, very diverse scenario in every part of India. As you move from north to south, east to west, the population changes, right? The socioeconomic status changes. So every part of India has different challenges. We appreciate the government's effort in stepping up the lockdown, which was very, very essential for our country. Though we feel that done earlier, it would have been much, much better, right? Because now what we see here is just the tip of the iceberg. We are expecting lots of numbers in days to come. We are testing low. That is the situation here. We are not testing. It is not possible. Seeing the population density in India, see, it's not possible to test everybody. So people have been quarantined. Villages have been sealed, which is a big, big step. And we are just keeping our fingers crossed, looking at 10 days from now, what we are going to face, what we are going to see. And lockdown, according to us, has been a big success, but there have been huge migration of populations that you would be seeing, like lakhs of people, the daily wage workers, the migrant laborers who were in the city because everything is shut down, the construction is shut down. They are moving towards their states, which we are keeping our fingers crossed, and we are expecting huge numbers there. And the population that we have in Punjab, there have been huge religious festivals where there were some infected patients, and one single person made scores of villages got sealed. So the thing is that those areas have problems of drug addiction, and we expect very low immunity of people there. So again, because of that reason, we are keeping our fingers crossed. So that is the situation. Yeah.
Okay. So we lost your voice in between, I think. Yes. So, as I know and you know that a lot of people from Punjab, they live outside India, but our
Right.
viewers not be aware about it. But we are reading the news that more than 100,000 people have come back to Punjab after this crisis.
Yeah.
So
In the
how
last 2 months,
is
there were 90,000. The count is
yeah,
90,000 people have
okay,
come back from India, from
yeah,
back to India, from the other, because there are a lot of people who are staying in America, a lot in Canada, a lot in Italy, Germany, the most affected areas now. Yeah.
so why they come back and how are they? I mean, are they quarantine or how are they isolating themselves or what kind of precautions the state government is taking? Uh,
So if we look back in time, so we have to start back in time when it all started. So tests were being done on the airport. The tests were basic like symptomatics. They were asked about the symptoms that they have, and the fever checking was being done. And everybody was asked to quarantine. There was no regulation. They were not kind of locked up, but they were asked to quarantine. A lot of people did not follow that quarantine advice, and a lot of those who we are expecting them to be super spreaders, a few have come up to be super spreaders. And the reason why they came back, some people were like, they were just casual movement, like every month movement, not the corona scare. In the later half, the corona scare made them move. But in the earlier half, when people were not aware, probably, so a lot of people moved. We, being here, we were not that scared. People were taking it lightly. And then the social culture of Punjab is it is like hugging, right? Very tight
yeah,
hugging, long
yeah,
hugs, especially when an NRI comes back to India. Like
yeah,
you will have a 2 to 3 minute hug, and they're
yeah,
close contact, and then there are religious festivals that happen, and like some people would be going. There will be part ceremonies, which is a religious festival. Some occasion is there. Those were conducted, and people were a part of that. And then a few of them were religious leaders who actually distributed the prasad that we call, and those people came out to be super spreaders. So we are really, really worried about that segment of population.
and what you would like to share about with our viewers that people who are, I mean, just came from some other country, how they have to isolate themselves. They don't have symptoms as of now, but how they have to take care of themselves and also the family members because they must be visiting to some family person in India. So, what kind of things they should follow for the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, so we know the incubation period is around 14 days. Somebody might just get the symptoms on the 14th day, and you might be thinking that I'm all fine, nothing has happened to me, I'm feeling fine. And some would be asymptomatic spreaders also. So for a period of 14 days, there should be a strict quarantine of that person. That person, now, if looking back, how you were received, who came to receive you, who was your driver, everybody need to be quarantined, right? And we have some great stories of which are not much discussed here, of some people who came up, who owned up. They on the very first symptom, they came up, they got themselves tested, they came positive. They frankly told about all those people who they met, all those people were quarantined, and that chain was broken, right? So one aspect that we need to see now is the psychological impact of this thing, the stigma, the COVID stigma.
Yeah.
Sometimes the media is responsible. They name people. They name, like, with the social media, you have their home number plates circulated all around. So there's a lot of stigma. People want to keep away from the stigma. So we all have to, as media people also, we have to take responsibility not to add to that stigma. So there are huge stories. There was a girl in Chandigarh who had come from London. We could trace, she owned up, she came with the symptoms. We did her test on her, she was positive. We had some 7 contacts of her which were positive. They and their families were quarantined. Rest of the people whom she met were quarantined. And we were very successfully able to break that circle. As of now, I believe that we are able to break that circle. So that word needs to go to the population very strongly and in very clear words that you are superheroes. Those who have quarantined themselves, those who have got themselves tested, declared all the contacts, you are big saviors. Otherwise, it is not under your control whether you're a spreader or super spreader. You don't know one odd person you met. He goes to a big gathering. He spreads the infection there. So that stigma and that guilt feeling has to be removed, and people need to be cheered for owning up. They need to be cheered for telling that yes, I have been abroad. I have symptoms, or they have to go for voluntary tests. They have to declare what all they have done in the last few days. So that will go a long way in breaking this circle. Yeah.
Okay, and and also I would like to know that because
I want to. Can you hear me?
Yes.
we
Yeah.
can-
So you have said some very wise words, because there are so many people out there that we know, even during flu seasons in the past, they would come to work sick and infect everyone. It takes, a very strong person in my mind when you're sick to stay home. And
Right.
the real heroes are the people who are quarantining themselves, but also our real mass defenders are our doctors, our researchers, the ones who are putting their lives at risk for us. And we need to stop going to them sick, because if you have the symptoms, it's too late. This is what they keep telling us. By the time you have a fever and you're weak, it's too late. You're going to just infect people. To call, stay home and call us, evaluate you. As Ashok said, we're still delivering things, so they can still deliver you things you need to hopefully recover. We did not have enough ventilators to treat the people at the hospital. They have miraculously appeared, a stockpile of them, which have been released for emergency purposes. So it's nice to know that we had an emergency stockpile. I've heard a grapevine rumor that they will be, building ventilators, possibly at car manufacturers' facilities or
Yes.
other manufacturing facilities. They all need to step up to the plate and say, "Hey, I can build this too." But we need to, work together as a community in the world for this problem, not just the United States. And I've seen this, that we're pulling together as a world and hopefully sharing information. So do you have any other things that you think are very important for us to learn to do at home, that you have learned that would help some of the people who might be sick?
So quarantining for those who are sick. One important word where there is a little confusion also. So this is the season in India where you get a lot of regular flus, right? So a person has a regular flu, he sneezes, he coughs, he is in panic. He goes to a doctor and asks for a test. Sometimes it happens that he asks for a test, whereas he does not fall into that criteria of being a COVID suspect. So that way you are exposing yourself to the healthcare facility. Secondly, you are overburdening the testing facility, the healthcare facility. So that line, that rough line has to be drawn, that who needs to, even for the referring doctors, even for the referring doctors at their primary places, they need to be where there has to be clear cut criteria, not a clear cut, I would say, a rough line, a rough line. COVID suspect, absolute no COVID suspect. And those absolute no COVID suspects, they have to be the flu clinic that we are running everywhere in the world right now. The flu clinic has to be divided, it has to be segmented. Highly suspicious, somewhere in the middle, and absolutely no, so that that cross infection does not happen, right? So now healthcare facilities, the hospitals are becoming a major might become a major source of infections, because how much would you sanitize? Like in the coming time when scores of people are going to come to you in a single day, what kind of facilities can we have? Secondly, what we think is having an open air facility for a primary testing, the swab test or the kit, better than inside the hospital. So that really to think that an open air facility with a less viral load in the air is there. That needs to be considered. And yes, for the sick, quarantine, be sure that you have cold, flu, simple, quarantine. Second, you feel it is odd, it is towards COVID, you have breathlessness, you have chest pain, you have persistent cough, you have fever. Then you need to report. Why you need to report? Because you want to tell about your contacts. Because here you have to be proactive in breaking the circle. So you have to report, you have to get yourself tested, and meanwhile you have to report your contacts when you come positive, and so that the rest of your circle, that circle breaks there. And looking at India, because in especially the urban population and a large part of the rural population, the lockdown is being taken very, very seriously. Those who can afford to have a livelihood sitting at home, those who can eat sitting at home, they're taking it very seriously. There is a lot of information on all the media, on social media. Our government at this point of time is doing a wonderful job. So the information, there is no scarcity of information. Yes, but if the person cannot eat, he needs to venture out. Those who can, they are staying in their homes, they're quarantining. So we see that that way it will go a long way in saving the other people. Even if you're asymptomatic, you are sitting at home. You are mildly symptomatic, you are sitting at home. If you see something is odd, you are going out, you're getting a test done, and just breaking the circle. Yeah.
So that's very good advice, and I don't mean to take over. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I get. I'm excited about having both of you guys here to discuss both health wise how we can take care of ourselves. Ashok is also connected into. He does a lot of work in the government sector, but he can also share with us physically what we can be doing at home. Some exercises, because he is a coach in cricket, which they're not playing cricket right now. But he can, but physically we need to be still exerting ourselves at home. Staying home and self-quarantine does not mean go home, put your feet up in the recliner and watch TV, people. We're going to become one big fat blob, especially if you eat the food we eat in America. The other thing I noticed is the fresh produce is still very abundant. We've all stockpiled whatever we needed. Let's start eating the fresh produce now and getting our immune system built up. But Ashok is a coach as well as a very, good person in the job that he is doing in his field. But he's a coach. And a coach has disciplines that are important to adhering to a healthier body lifestyle. Ashok, can you give us some things that we could do at home that maybe doesn't take up too much space, but we need to be doing exercises throughout the day?
Absolutely. I'm sure, everybody is probably fitness, the workout, and then the healthy food, since they have more time now at home. So yes, we do similar things, but as cricketers who play every summer or most of the time whenever they can, we have certain practice routines. Every week we usually practice when it is allowed, but now since there is no facilities, every facility is closed. So what we do right now is regular warm-ups, and then we have certain bowling drills that you can just take a ball in hand, and then you pick a little area, maybe like a room, where obviously you don't want to break any of your furniture or any of the stuff, but a soft tennis ball maybe you can take, and then you can just build your rhythm, and then whether you're a fast bowler or the spinner, you work on your rhythm, and then you get your body loaded into the release point, and then just release those balls. It's pretty simple. The net be bowling, but still you get your body rhythm going. So that way, when you're ready to go out and then play, you're not totally out of your regular rhythm. And then the same thing with the batting. You can take a couple of soft tennis balls, and then you can pick an area, and then you can have it bounce right in front of you, and then you can make those, get the drives. But also it helps if you have a family member who can throw down some balls at you, and then you can play those shots in a little area. I mean, even in a living room is good enough, as long as you just get your body position into the the shot. But yeah, those are little things which you can do. And then the fielding, obviously you can throw some ball at the wall, and then have the ball then take. There's three aspects, the main aspects of the game that I usually do for half an hour to 1 hour. Throw the ball on the wall, and then take those catches and keep my reflexes going, so that way the body is agile and moving. And those are basic things that we could do. And then there are a lot of videos on YouTube, as well as some of the coaching materials that I have with my fellow coaches that we have developed. There are certain things that we try to share with our team members, or the people, look, so they can work on those, and then work on the reading part as well, because there is certain technicalities that where you read the information that we share, and then they can learn those type of things.
No, and I agree with you. And again, too, there's nothing wrong with going outside a little bit, as long as you're socially distanced from other people. Get that warm sun on you, like Dr. You told us. Absorb that vitamin D. Get some fresh air. Willie, do you have a photo of the social distancing tutu? But
Cam.
hold on.
The microphone.
Willie was being courteous. He muted. So he muted. Let's see. He can't. There we go. So what?
I went through this Facebook social media social distancing, and I couldn't find the clip because there were too many in front of it. So right. Yeah, couldn't get it. Sorry.
But there's plenty of things we can do and be social distance. Another thing I've noticed, everyone they shut down for one day, second day, third day. It's like, is it over yet? And they still see the stats climb, and we're not going to see that flat line that we're looking for several weeks, because our stats are 10 days behind the test results. So the stats we see today are from test results taken 10 days ago. So people need to be a little bit patient before we see the drop. We're going to have a flat line that has to appear maybe in 3 weeks, maybe. But we still need, but I keep hearing that, are we there yet? Are we there? It sounds like these kids in a car going, Mom, are we at the beach yet? No, we're not there yet. April 15th is our goal line. But does that mean, Nick brought up the other day, what if it's not over on April 15th and we all go back to our way of life and we get reinfected? So we need to be very cautious, because I don't want to be, I've already been down for 4 weeks. I self-quarantined 4 weeks ago for many reasons. One, I don't trust anything like this. And the school across the street from me became infected. And there was rumor that it was aerosol for 3 hours. Well, aerosol means it is airborne. And that scared me. So I've been locked in for 4 weeks. I'm ready to, I go out to my garden, I go outside. But I'm like you guys, I'm ready to get out and do something. And y'all, most people have only been locked down for 3 days. In my hometown, they just locked down Friday at 5. In Raleigh, North Carolina, they officially locked down Friday at 5. We should have been locked down 3 weeks ago.
Absolutely. That could have been a game changer for every country. We are doing, in India, I think we are doing too much, but we are doing too late. We are doing too late.
It's too late.
The medical fraternity everywhere. People had started taking more precautions. People had shut down their businesses. People had started working from home. The doctors in non-essential services had already planned to cancel all their appointments and put a shut. And the regulations came a little late. And we now think that the super spreaders that we have in our part of the country, now we think, had it been 2 weeks back, those 200 villages that are sealed today would not have been so. Yeah. So the communication between the scientists, the researchers, the medical fraternity, and the government has to be very, very clear. We knew it was coming. Why were we waiting for the numbers? That's a big question. Everybody was waiting for the numbers to become scary and then take action. Whereas all the doctors know it's a 14-day incubation period. It is highly contagious, right? The infection is spreading very fast.
It's not prejudiced either. And they kept saying the young can't get it, but the young are getting sick. It's about an immunity. It's about your immune system. It has nothing to do with age, religion, race, weather.
Young people dying. You're seeing young people dying. Fortunately, I don't think any kids we have heard all over the world. No kids dying. But we've seen teenagers. You had teenagers. We had 33-year-old doctors dying, right? So
we've had teenagers dying.
That's scary. That's very scary.
Yes. So, but I think the younger people, their immune system's healthier. Their livers haven't been destroyed. Their livers are very strong. And I think the liver is where you separate the bad from the good bacteria. And the liver generally will flush out things. And people that are older, we don't have as healthy of a liver system, from what I've been learning from the doctors that I've been talking with. And the information they've been sharing with me is that it's your immune system. So just build your immune system up. But there have been a few children and teenagers become sick. Most of them have survived, but we've had a few die. So I don't know what to say or how to explain it. I think we just need to be careful. I think if it gets in the human body, it can kill you. It can. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying the possibility is there.
There are some studies of vitamin C. There are studies of vitamin C definitely playing a good role on your immune system. So vitamin C is one thing that we all should be taking to build up an immune system in a natural form or a tablet form. I think would be great.
And exercising keeps your immune system up. You sweat out the impurities.
One more point is your psychological stress, which depresses your immune system, and there is a panic. So that the psychiatrists need to come into play. People need to probably, especially those with the OCDs, they have to stop watching the coronavirus news. You have that world leader that everybody is checking every year. The first thing you check in the morning, the first thing I do and check in the morning is USA, right? Every morning I get up at 6 and I check what had happened in USA today. What is the tally for USA? Right? So for some time, I think everybody needs to get off that news, off that scare, and just that would be good for your immune system. That psychological stress when you put down. That's also very important.
I would like
I
to ask.
agree.
I would like to ask something to Dr. Aman, that when you heard about coronavirus for the first time, what was the reaction and how you started taking precautions at that point of time? Because there are still very less information and very less stats or figures available which are shared across the globe. So,
Right.
can you share?
Initially, so I'm an ophthalmologist. My OPD was running. So what we did was outside my clinic, I had a hand sanitizer put up. So whoever enters has to clean the hands, has to sanitize the hands, and then enter. All of my staff was wearing gloves. My reception counter was being sanitized. We put sterilizer in each and every corner of the house, of the clinic. Like everywhere there was sanitizer, there was spirit squad, and the staff was asked to clean up everything. We put shields in front of our slit lamp. That was going on in the clinic. And we avoided crowding. We put some chairs outside. I have some area which is outside my clinic. We put the chairs out in the sun that at least the relatives could sit out and only the patient could enter. So that is how we started doing in the clinics, and we sensitize our staff to take all the precautions. And everybody was asked about history of foreign travel or of contacts with foreign travel. So, and then back home, what we were doing was definitely we all started on vitamin C that we feel, and whatever we feel traditionally, like being a doctor, you still feel traditionally whatever is supposed to build your immune system. We started on that diet, the whole family started. And initially, it just started with like wash your hands, do not travel in just have your private travel. Whoever goes out, we were just taking care because some of the family members had to travel for work. So we said it is better to stay at a friend's place than a hotel. It started like that. But now it has come to that we go once to collect our groceries, our daily groceries. We go out, we go for a short walk, we wear our masks, and in my neighborhood, what I have started is that in front of all the grocers that I visit, I ask them to put a string in front of their shop so that nobody enters the shop. The shopkeeper is supposed to come out and deliver. We drew circles, widely spaced circles in front of the shop so that the social distancing is maintained. Once you have a circle, the person is going to stand inside that. Otherwise, there's always a crowding. We come back there. We come back from a separate entry. We wear rubber shoes. I come back. I put my feet and my shoes in a detergent tub. We wash our feet. Come inside. All the groceries that I buy, I put it in a um, detergent. I wash it up. Put it in the sun. All the bags that we are carrying for the groceries, they are just kept to air dry for 4 days. And on the fifth day, we bring it into circulation. The change that we get, we put it for air drying. That money that we get, we put it for air drying. So that is all the precautions that, as an individual and as a family, that we are taking right now. And yes, we are talking a lot to our non-medicos. We are calling them in our friend group, in our neighborhood, especially to the neighborhood grocer, the petrol station guys, and the pharmacist. We really make an effort to go and tell them, the cleaners on the road, we tell them, wear your mask, keep a sanitizer, how to deal with paper money. So all those, the talking, I think whatever little you can do when you are not a frontliner, when you're a clinician, what all you can do, you must contribute. Every contribution counts.
And Dr. Aman, also we have some questions from our viewers across the globe,
Yeah.
and they wanted to know that as an ophthalmologist, what are your, advices and suggestions? Because it's difficult for you to see a patient right now. So, how a patient should take care of his or her health at this point of time?
Yeah, one important point is that this COVID-19 is presenting as conjunctivitis in a lot of patients. We have a lot of data coming from the ophthalmic societies all over the world. There are patients who are coming with the conjunctivitis. The conjunctivitis seems to be a little severe. There is mucopurulent discharge. So there is no specific treatment. We just treat it on the lines of a viral conjunctivitis. We are not giving any antivirals. Yes, if you have a fever, if you have eye congestion, that could be a first sign. In a lot of places, it has been the very first symptom of COVID-19. And otherwise, yes, for the eyes, I would say now we all know, all the viewers probably know that it spreads through your hands to your mucosa, and the mucosa is your eyes, your nose, and the mouth.
Yeah.
So, very first thing, if you're moving out, keep your non-dominant hand. The left hand should be doing all the work, because even by mistake, even after all the precautions, if you reflexly touch your face, it will be your left hand. So it would be advisable to use your left hand for the door handles, for the lifts, anywhere that you go. And do not touch your face, your eyes, your nose, your mouth. If you have to go for some meetings, right? If anyways you have to go for a meeting, I would advise food should not be served there. There should be no serving of food, right? You don't know who's serving, what is the plate, how sanitized your hands are in
Yeah.
between the touching the tables. Despite taking all the precautions, I think if we just overstep and really think at this point of time, we need to think that the virus is everywhere and everybody is contaminated and everybody is a potential spreader. That is how you can say, try to break the chain.
And
Just
specifically about eyes, how one should keep their eyes. Should we wash our eyes the way we are washing our hands right now? Should we
no.
keep the glasses on?
See, if you are in a habit of touching your eyes, it would be advisable to wear glasses so that you don't touch your eyes. But the tears have their own immune system. So please do not wash away your tears. Do not wash your eyes. Your tears could save the infection from penetrating into the eye. Do not wash away your tears. Let the tears, which have the natural immunoglobulins, uh, do their work. Do not wash your eyes. Wash your hands and do not touch your eyes.
Okay, great. So we have Mr. Chandar Bhateja ji from Hong Kong, and he's one of the big businessmen in Hong Kong. Namaste, Chandar ji. How are you doing today? We can't hear you. We can't hear you, sir. No, we can't hear you. I think we have some technical difficulties. Kim, you have something to share from the stimulus package, and what's the next step of Mr. President, and how he's taking care of the things?
I gotta love Trump. You never know what to expect from him. Okay. This is what I tell people. Everybody thinks I don't like Trump. He is a smart businessman, period. Okay. This is what I tell people. And he hates to lose. I've never disliked him. I might dislike some of the things he will do. I might not agree with the way he has done business, but he's been very successful doing it. So Trump likes to do things so he wins. Okay. And you have to respect that in a leader, because he is going to try as hard as he can to make a winning situation out of this, for him anyway. I mean, no leader likes to be defaced or making the wrong decisions. So if I'm going to look at Trump for anything, I'm going to say he's going to listen harder to the right people now, and he's going to make, hopefully, the decisions that are going to make himself look good. And we have to hope and pray for that. But every leader in America has always been like that. We always ask, and I always see that the world always seems to look at our president to say, what are you going to do? But actually, we also look at your leaders, the people here. We kind of weigh and balance, how are other leaders doing things as well. At least I do, because that tells me a trend of how the world reacts to something. I think he's very concerned about the financial state. I think there was a lot of shock as the stock kept going down to some people. I think you're going to see a miracle happen. I really do. I think it's out of the blue, just like out of the blue the ventilators came. Oh, we have a stockpile of ventilators. Let's release them. Out of the blue, yesterday, a test kit that will test supposedly the cell for corona in 5 minutes. Out of the blue, this just came out yesterday, and it IPO'd yesterday. Out of the blue, it IPO'd. I don't know how you IPO overnight. So these things have been going. I'm not saying that they're. I'm not criticizing anyone, but out of the blue, we're going to start seeing some miracles. Overnight. Ta-da! Here we are, and that's a good thing. I was shocked to see that test kit so soon. They are going to. They have them ready to sell at 50,000 a day. They're going to be distributing 50,000, according to the report I read. I don't know how true it is, but they just IPO'd. April 1st, they will be, apparently shipping 50,000 a day of the 5-minute test kits. And I would like to personally, I would like to see the test results on these. I want to see how they know that test kit will provide that particular test result. I want to see the lab results, right? All too often, I think we leap too hard when we see something that looks too good to be true. We have a guest here.
Yes.
So namaste.
We can't hear you, sir. We can't hear you. Can you check the volume? Because we can't hear you.
I checked his volume on my end. I know, Ankit, you have control.
We can't hear you. Can you join again? I mean, can you log out and log in again? I think that would make sense.
And check your audio setting. You can go to your camera mic setting and check your audio setting. Look for the mic. Can he hear us?
Yeah. To add to it, the problem we are facing, the kind of problem we are facing in the lockdown is there's a little bit of, there's no coordination, little lesser coordination between the production industry. Because of the lockdown, our manufacturers, the medical manufacturers, the one responsible for giving us the masks and the PPPs, they are shut down. So, and there's a problem with transportation. So that regulation, we are trying, it is becoming better every day, every single day. The regulations become better, availability of stuff is getting better. But yes, for the last 3 days, we have been struggling with the manufacturers to open their industry and start making and providing us the masks and the PPEs. So I really liked your concept about, yes, that you are hopeful that with the shutdown not being there, the hope is that, yes, you're doing a lot of stuff like the ventilators coming out, the ventilators, probably we are hopeful of receiving ventilators from your side soon. Yeah. So that is a silver lining, which we probably do not see. Being on this side, we just see the numbers.
So we're not a culture today that is accustomed to social distancing, except for, thankfully, we have this, right? In all honesty, people, stop complaining. You've been living in this for 5 years. You have been socially distanced practice for 5 years. Stop complaining. Start praying more. Start exercising. I have increased my exercising since I've been home. Although I work all at home anyway. And I was talking to a friend of mine in Texas, and he was like the same way. My work hasn't stopped. My day hasn't stopped. Like, I still work at home. In fact, I'm doing more work because we're doing this show, and this show 7 days a week. People don't understand. I just don't appear on the show and start talking. I talk to people all over the world. I ask. People think I speculate. I don't. You have to say what if, right? You have to sometimes go out of the box, out of what's logical to find answers. So I'm not speculating. I'm asking, what if? Okay, what if it was founded in chickens at the meat market, and we learned that there was testing done on chickens for COVID? What if? So can we find ground zero? That's all I do. I'm not, what if being in the sunshine, absorbing the vitamin D can save us? That's healthy anyway, right? Wear some sunblock, but absorb the vitamin D. But I tell people we're not going to win this if we sit at home and not just let other people think for us. We have to start taking these things and thinking for ourselves. What's healthy for your body? What's healthy for your mind? Stop feeling sorry. Find our blessings in this today. One of the most impactful experiences I had in my life. And, I look back on these during these times, and Dr. Tula is here. One of the most impactful moments is Namaste.
Hi, Kimberly. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. Tula. Good evening to you. How are you feeling today?
All well, all well. It's good to see you guys.
Same here. Are you still self-isolated today?
Yeah, madam. Yeah, I'm just continuing with the same thing. Hi, Dr. Aman. How are you doing?
I'm good, sir. I'm good, sir.
Good.
And Sasha's here.
And how's our dear friend Sasha? Doing well?
And Willie from Australia.
Yeah. Willie, how's it going back in your country? I hope everything is fine.
No, we're going to bring the hot desert into the city. It's fine. We're having a good time. Yeah.
I hope to add somebody from Italy one day soon so that we can talk a good story for Italy because they struggle so hard. The letter we received, I call it letter number 1, is from a woman who's not selfish. And she's pleading the world to heed to the warning because 2 weeks ago they were joking about this, laughing, life was normal. And in 2 weeks, they were dying. So her letter touched me because we take advantage of how we feel today. We don't expect it to kill us tomorrow or in 2 weeks. And that's how she felt. Life was great and wonderful 2 weeks ago. And then, 2 weeks later, and so her warning to us is you don't know that you're sick. You don't know that you're spreading this disease. So heed that warning. Just because you don't feel sick doesn't mean you weren't spreading the disease. And we wish we had heeded that warning because our doctors are dying, our medical care people who became sick. We didn't listen. And her warning to us, I think some countries said, wow, we need to shut down immediately. And Dr. Tula, you took this as you knew to sit, just isolate. What are some things that you're doing while you're being isolated?
So, Kimberly, before I answer that question, my only question to you is that what is happening in New York?
What?
What exactly is happening in New York?
New York, we had Ashok on. They feel a little more confident now that, but I think there's still some scare. Again, people don't realize, and I don't think I asked him a question behind the scenes. The test results, the stats that we get today are based on test results taken 10 days ago. So the stats we see in New York, they show 53,000 infected are not what the stats really should be. So they panic. Many people from New York are flying to Miami because they still have that theory in their brain, warmer weather. They're also looking for doctors because there's not enough doctors in New York. So people are panicking. And there's a talk about shutting down the tri-state. Are you guys familiar with the tri-state?
Yeah.
So they're talking about shutting down the tri-state completely. That would include New York City. But when you do that, how do you officially close the borders? Somebody's driving down the highway. How do you stop them? Who do you know is allowed to come up and down the highway? Because we have truckers that are still allowed to drive. We want them to because we still need delivery of content. So the U.S., we're still getting a balance together. I don't think we took the extreme measures soon enough, but we're doing it now. And I don't, I'm not going to question what they're doing at this moment. I'm going to just pray. I self-contained 4 weeks ago, out of fear that what if I have it? I don't want to share it with anyone.
Yeah,
Yes.
Kim, we have a question to you. I've just seen one program on TV, and there was something about it's kind of a political issue, dividing responsibilities between governors of the state and federal government. And it seems to me that the federal government now took policies that every state has to take everything in their hands and to do whatever they feel they need to do and not to rely on federal government. If that's so, should Florida close its airspace and not allow New Yorkers to come to Florida?
The United States we're divided truly. Each state has its own laws, its own policies, and they're governed by their government. In certain situations, we will see the federal government laws trump a state law. And this is a conversation I have tried to bring up many times is, what if I'm driving through a state that the law says one thing and I cross over to the state and I'm still applying my same practices from the other state? What happens if that is illegal in the other state, or if they close the border in the other state, but I wasn't aware of that law? So we need to get a little bit better communication amongst ourselves. I think that's one thing that's great about other countries, where you are ruled by one government. You were able to contain this and control this faster. We're not controlled by one government here. We claim we are, but we're not. We've been fighting amongst ourselves for 3 months because of our political campaigns. It took 3 months, I think, for some people to push the political campaign aside and say, whoa, wait a minute, we have a real problem here. People's lives are at stake. Ashok was on with us moments ago, and we were discussing a little bit about this. But I think, personally, if you're asking my opinion, all airspace should have stopped 2 weeks ago. If we were really going to officially control this, it's my opinion, I would have stopped all airspace. You noticed Canada did that. Am I correct, Sasha?
But it's not internally. I mean, internally it's still open. You can fly from Toronto to Vancouver, for example. But you're right, it's closed. All international flights are canceled. There is no way to travel, even with the United States, unless it's Canadians who are returning to Canada from the United States. There are some people who definitely they need to fly home. And that's about it. That's about it. Driving is still possible between two countries, but only essential. Of course, we are talking about trucks bringing food and other necessities. So this is still open, but you cannot just sit down in the car like I would often, for example, drive somewhere wherever I wanted. I cannot now cross the border unless I have very, very specific case, maybe my relatives are dying, something very, very important, exceptional case. That's a story now.
Well, and that's, to me, called smart. Shut off your international borders. India, you guys did that almost a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. You banned the visas. You started shutting down the international crossing. I think only very few people were allowed, if you're correct, Ankit?
Yeah. So we have shut down all the flights and the domestic expeditions also.
I was trying to make Ankit focus. Let Ankit share with us when all this took place. Let's talk about timelines.
I mean, now the people are debating that it should happen a couple of weeks ago. But whatever happened, we have to agree with government, and we have to be on the same platform and the same page, because this is the time to unite everyone and not fighting like we are seeing in different countries. And if we are united and if we still calm down and fight with the situation the way we can, because that is the best way forward. And isolation means that means you have to isolate it with each and every transportation, not just staying at home, but stopping the flights, stopping the cargo, stopping the domestic flights and domestic transportation as well. So that I mean, because this is the scenario where we are saving the humanity and not saving a particular region or a particular community or a particular place. So to save a humanity, and we don't have any other options but to isolate ourselves. So that's what the government have taken the step, and that was a bold step after going through the different cases and different happenings all around the world, especially in Europe and in China. So that's what the step Indian government have, and we all as Indian citizens are following whatever the government is trying to convey and whatever the best uh, work or voluntary work or contribution we can do at this point of time. That is what we can do. I think Dr. Aman and Dr. Tula would share more stories because they are the front runners at this point of time, and they know people who are working for the patients and have been in touch with the COVID patients. And also, a lot of organizations in India are coming forward to help people, be it giving them free lunches, be it giving them free food, be it giving them free shelter, be it giving them. I mean, so there are a lot of philanthropy work going around, and that's what we require. We have to we always teach our children that sharing is caring, and that is what we have to do. And to my surprise, people in USA are not coordinated because everyone in our panel and everyone across the globe, they always look to US for all these things. But US is divided at this point of time, and I don't know why things are not moving on the right direction. But we all pray whatever happening, it should happen for good. And still, we have to be on the same platform. And right now, the president is Trump, and we have to follow the Trump whatever things in mind he wanted to do. So we have to give them a lot of strength and a lot of courage so that he can take the right steps and keep the humanity alive. That's what I can say at this point of time.
And I agree with you. I think we just need to be common practice at this
Yeah.
point, common disciplined, common practice. That we need to just pretend. This is what I tell someone: pretend on the safe side, right? Someone told me when you're washing your hands, pretend like you just chopped up jalapeno peppers,
Yeah.
because we know that juice gets on the hands, and when you put it to your face, what? Oh, you burn your eyes, you burn you burns. So they tell me, when you are thinking about touching your face, just pretend like you've been dealing with jalapenos all day. But common practices, our government, we just need to hope and pray that they're taking the right precautions now. How many people will adhere to this? I think we're going to see people get bored quick, and they're not going to see that flat line. So they're going to say, oh, that was just BS. We're not going to listen to them anymore. We're going to go out and do our own thing. And people need to understand our stats are still 10 days behind. And until we get sophisticated tests that give us quicker results, we're not going to see the flat line we were looking for a couple of weeks now. We're just not going to see it. And we need to be patient. But we have several doctors here to give us some good advice, and Sasha, and so and get some doctors talking for us. This is great.
So, as we discussed with Dr. Aman, I think I would like to share more. I would like to hear more stories from the
You want to
ground
drop off?
zero because I think she knows a lot of patients or people or doctors who are working closely with the COVID symptom patients. So, Dr. Aman, you have something to share?
Yeah, one thing is that when we talk about shutdown and the lockdown, and we say that we are looking for a flat curve, we are waiting for a flat curve. One thing is that the lockdown is going to give your healthcare system a lot of space to breathe. So we are going to decongest the healthcare system. It is much easier for the fatality rate is not that high. New York has reached a point when Italy has reached a point when doctors have to play God. They have to choose that this is the patient I want to save, and this is the patient who cannot be saved, so I cannot attend to that. So a lockdown gives us a lot of time to prepare. It gives us the healthcare system a lot of time to prepare. It just the when the patient, the load of the patient is decreased, the healthcare system can take better care. There can be better recoveries. The healthcare staff will be lesser exhausted. So that is one another point. When you're waiting for a flatter curve, you should be looking at this also. The
Yes.
curve would probably don't wait for a flatter curve, but wait for lesser mortality, more recovery. Lockdown
And
is going to help a long way in that. And one more thing in New York that we are seeing is all the doctors who are in the rural posting or in the areas where there is very less COVID load is there. Those doctors are just undergoing training. Every day they undergo training that a COVID patient would come to us. That is how we are going to treat him. And those doctors, my friends, they have started putting petitions that, hey guys, we are free here. We can go to the congested areas. We can serve in New York. Why don't you release us? And but there's some visa issues. So probably I get the news. I'm not sure today that relaxation was given to the doctors of America, the non-American doctors who were posted elsewhere and who had visa restrictions. They were not being moved to the overloaded hospitals.
And are you getting the enough coordination or enough supplies from the state government or whatever we need to do at this point of time, especially in Punjab?
So a few days back, the situation was yes, we were not ready with the protection that the recommended WHO protection, that is the personal protective equipment that people need to use. They were doing with the bare minimum what we would do in an OPD for the regular patient wearing a normal mask. But now there have been two kind of initiatives which are very positive. One is the government has really ramped up the production, and we are waiting for the first supplies to reach to the doctors. Secondly, there has been a lot of like this virus has united the country as a whole. Been a lot of philanthropy. People, we have been asking people to donate. We have been not being frontliners. We have been just very closely following up with what our friends in the frontline are going through. We have been arranging, talking to manufacturers, whatever is available with whoever manufacturer, whatever quantity is available. We are actually getting the funds and making it available, bypassing the government system right to the doctors. And we are very hopeful that the government is also ramped up the production and the facilities would reach, the equipment would reach the doctors. Yeah.
Willie, I would like to know what's going on in Australia in terms of how the doctors are creating awareness about the current virus system and how what kind of warnings or notifications or campaigns you are running in Australia. Because we
Ankit,
always
can I ask a question to
yes,
Willie? First,
sure,
that
sure.
what is this? As you rightly said, we would like to know what is the situation in Australia. Is it a complete lockdown? Because again, Australia is a very vast continent to say. So, and what are they doing? And is the government really listening to the doctors? Like I presume that Kimberly has gone off, but I would have
Yeah.
really liked to know whether the government is really listening to the doctors in US also, because it doesn't seem like. It seems on the
Yeah.
contrary that they're doing things which, unfortunately, the doctors are talking in one language and the government is talking in the other language. So,
Yes.
how is it in Australia?
Okay. Let me start off with the stats. The stats has increased from yesterday. We've had 300 more confirmed cases from yesterday, which is now total at 3,966 as of 3 p.m. today.
So, is there mass testing happening
E-
or only
mass-
symptomatic testing is happening?
Only symptomatic testing is happening.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
Getting the equipment out to the doctors is still yet to be seen. Um, a lot of people, mainly from the Asian countries, have masks. So when you go anywhere you travel, you'd see a lot of them have masks. But the local population, the Australians, some of them are starting to wear masks. and respecting the severity of the situation. But a lot of the Australians are not wearing masks. So that is really sad to see. Um, work-wise, work has closed only for essential service. So only unless you need to, like childcare is still under essential service, and logistics is an essential service. Um, when we had the run of toilet paper and supermarket shelves being empty, it's not that we didn't have stock. It's we didn't have enough people to stock the shelves. Okay, so when the shop opens in the morning, before the 7 o'clock open, you'd have people coming in at 5 to stock the shelves. So, and they hadn't completed the stocking of the shelves by the time the shop opened. So the stocking of the shelves was put on hold. So when these big influx of people came through and took everything off the shelves, it's not that the shop didn't have stock. The shop had stock, but didn't have the people to stock the shelves. So that was one of the dilemmas. And everybody saying, "Oh no, we ran out of stock. We ran out of stock." No, they didn't run out of stock. They ran out of people to stock the shelves.
But what kind of warnings or what kind of warnings or best practices offered by the government, or maybe some kind of notifications or some kind of best practices made by the government?
Yes, the Prime Minister did a speech this evening at 7 p.m., and that sort of highlighted what they were working on. I did not actually see the actual speech because I had to go down and get some stuff from the grocery store. So yeah, I didn't actually see that bit. But I am assuming that I am going to assume that the government is doing everything that it possibly can. So we still have the lockdown. State borders are closed. So unless you have a specific good reason to go into another state, they'll turn you back.
Okay, great. And what are the doctors advising at this point of time, because you are not wearing masks? So what about the hand washing sanitizers or?
Hand washing and the sanitizing is still happening. And everybody's pushing for that a lot, and they have like campaigns so that everybody gets in on that. With the kids also, they're doing like a animation for kids to learn how to do that process, so that they do it at home also. And yeah, like, and making it a good storytelling for the kid, so that the kid is not against it but working with the system.
And is the business completely locked down? Because in India, it's completely locked down means no one is at work apart from the
Uh,
essential service providers. So because I have seen a lot of Australians still working, and
yes,
the domestic travel also going around.
we are in not in lockdown mode. Essential service is the only thing that's working because we still need people to do the logistics. So in that context, it's like only unless you work in essential service, you can work. If you're not in essential service, you need to be self-isolating.
Okay.
So food manufacturing is essential service. Childcare is essential service. Logistics. So there are other industries beside the healthcare that needs to work so that the healthcare can flourish, so that the healthcare can deliver. If we don't have the trucks and the logistics to look after the masks and do the delivery, the food delivery, that doesn't work.
And are you getting enough supplies in terms of medication from different countries, or you have enough medicines for next couple of months?
I'm not too sure on that context. I have not heard anything regarding that.
Okay. And yesterday we had a good discussion because you had to leave early because
Yes.
of the time constraint. But we were discussing about the health insurance in different countries. So
Yep.
how is it in Australia? What kind of health insurance you have, and how much you are paying for it, and what's it covering as the insurance?
Okay, health insurance. I need to pull up my insurance policies to have a look. I'm
Okay.
not sure I can say that off the top of my head. I
Okay.
know I do have some cover.
So,
I know I do have.
so Ankit, that tells us that the insurance is not very heavy on him then. Otherwise, Kimberly was complaining the whole
Yeah.
In the whole show, Kimberly was complaining about only one thing, and Sasha was laughing away.
Yeah. True, true. Because Sasha was happy that they don't have to pay much on the insurance part. But on the other way around, Kim had to, shared a lot of money on annual basis, and still they're not protected at all in
Okay.
terms of insurance. So that's why we were concerned what we.
One of the things I did was one of the courses I attended was financial planning. So in that regard, it would be different insurance policy agreements. Okay, that one there would be specific, and different insurance companies would sell different aspects of the policy. So some would say yes, it's a life, and that is all of these things, and it's outlined. And a different company say life, but some of that would be missing. So it's an individual insurance company. So one of the things they advocating now is shop around when you do insurance policy. See that you get like a um, telephone bundle. You know, you get telephone, you get the internet. What else can you get? How much gigs? How much data can you get?
I
And
think you are
insurance policies is
following
very similar.
so I think you are following the U.S. Insurance sector because they also have these kind
So,
of problems.
so Vidhi, can I interrupt you for a
Yes,
minute? So, how is
yes.
it in Australia? So, do you have a public healthcare, or is it a entirely privatized healthcare like it
Public
is in
health
US?
care.
In Canada, it is not like that. It is a public healthcare system in Canada. In
Yes.
Australia, how is it? Is it a mixture, or is it an out and out privatized healthcare?
No, it's a public healthcare for permanent residents and Australian citizens. But new migrants to Australia, they have to pay. They pay
So
like
what it means is that do you
$70.
do you pay anything?
I don't pay
Does
anything.
the government secures you
Yes, yes,
from
yes,
payment for
yes,
health services?
yes,
So it's on the Canadian model then, I presume.
yes. Very similar. It would be very similar in
Oh,
that context. So I can go and see the doctor for anything.
so that is
But
why
Only
he's not bothered about the insurance. Ankit, now that answers your question.
that covers the whole body in terms of eyes and the dental
yes,
care and the.
Dental,
yes.
I think dental will be the only difference, sir. Dental is covered.
Uh,
I don't think it will be covered.
no, dental is not covered.
No,
It's
no.
not
Dental
covered
is not
in
covered,
Canada too.
and yeah, all
So
the rest,
people, I
anything I
would like
go
to
for.
know something about dental. That why dental is not covered in across the globe. I mean, is it a cosmetic surgery or is it not a part of the regular health routine?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not really sure about that. Yeah.
Dr. Dula, you want to say something
So
on that?
So what we will do is I'll get a dentist friend also on the program tomorrow. I'll try to get some from a dental background also tomorrow, right? So that will answer that question. But honestly speaking, the major reason I guess is that maximum procedures initially were, I mean, they are in a little bit of a confusion whether a lot of procedures are related to cosmetic dentistry. But
Yes.
then,
Okay.
honestly speaking, nowadays I think some countries, at least some kind of insurance companies have started coming up with certain schemes for dental also. So they have a limited amount of insurance on dentistry also. Not
Yes.
complete, but limited.
Yes. Yes. I agree with you on that.
Yes,
Actually, the dentistry in Canada is quite expensive. I have a friend of mine who's a dentist, and he's telling that the best way to deal with that, when you are still young, say 20, 30 years old, he can provide this treatment. He can get out all your teeth, front teeth, back teeth, everything, and put very good implants because the technique now allows for that. And you have no dental problems for the rest of your life. So you're healthy, wealthy, and no problems anymore. How
So,
about
so
that?
Sasha, so you are just 27 only. Who's telling that you are in your 60s or 70s? So you should have told the dentist that, look, I'm a 27-year guy only. Who's telling that I'm in my 60s or 70s? I mean, you should you should tell your dentist to meet Dr. Aman, so that an eye checkup can be performed, so that they at least see that you are a young guy, you're not an old guy. Hold my foot on you.
But you know what? My dentist is not recommending this because he's saying, "I'll be out of business if people will do this." I
Dr. That will really help you look 27. One question for Dr. Tulla. So we are hearing that repeated hand washing is causing a lot of dryness of hands and a lot of cracks. So there is probability of the infections lodging into the cracks, and there is recommendation that you should heavily moisturize your hands. Would you like to comment on that?
So moisturizing is not bad at all. I don't think there is any problem with moisturizing, and you can, I mean, use home remedies also for moisturizing. So
Right.
apparently the virus apparently does not go through wounds and anything, because it is primarily a fomite-borne infection. So it is only going to basically, if I mean, even if it enters your bloodstream, there is no evidence to show that it is going to the lungs and cause a problem. It is basically a fomite-borne infection. So I don't think there is any, I mean, problem with that. Moisturizing is not bad at all. I mean, if you're generally the soaps today have, I mean, they are already you have a lot of glycerine based and oil based soaps which generally do not cause dryness, but even if you are using spirit based things, it can cause dryness, so it is always good to moisturize a little bit. So that's it.
And
So,
anyone closely following up what are the countries that are faring better on the curve doing, like Japan and South Korea? What are the lessons that we learned from them? Anybody following up closely on that?
So we have analyzed or monitored that there are three ways the whole world is fighting with the current Corona COVID situation. The first way is to attack. That's what China, South Korea, countries like Taiwan, and all these countries have done. Singapore, they have attacked the virus, and the normalcy, they were still going for work and doing all those things by taking the right precaution. But I think because of the apart from China, because of the less resources, because of the limited resources, they were able to fight it out. But when you talk about bigger countries, they think that they have a lot of resources, they have a lot of money, they have a lot of medical stuff, they can manage it out and they can quarantine people and all those things. But once they started spreading, it was not in control. And the second way
But
was
Ankit, I would like to interrupt you here. The
yeah,
China figure is entirely mind-boggling. A country
I,
like Italy is virtually devastated, and the
yeah.
figures which we learned from China, they don't. I mean, they don't meet the eye. Honestly speaking,
They don't match
I
up.
mean, there is something amiss there.
Sir, everyone
Yes.
feels the same, but we can't comment on China because we are not
Yeah,
sure.
that is what it is.
And there are a lot
It's
of
an
things that we
authoritarian
don't
regimen.
know.
So I do agree with you there.
Unless we don't have a number, we
But look
can't say.
what,
Yeah.
yeah, but
But
look
what I was saying is
across what
that
is happening in Europe. It is entirely. I mean, it's not.
what Europe
It's
did is
not that
what
the
Europe
virus
and
is.
yeah.
If
So, sir,
you see that,
What Europe and US did it, they were waiting and they were waiting and watching that how things are going on, and then they will taking the actions. So that was the second strategy. And after going through all those things, India decided to lock down. And I think Punjab was the first state in India who have, come up and say that they want to lock down because the isolation is was the only model. Is difficult to get tested or to get the whole of the population of India get a corona test done. So the isolation was the third model to save the humanity in the COVID-19 situation. And I think these are the three strategies around the world what we have seen so far. But maybe once we have the case studies shared within the countries, so maybe we have more answers to this. And in the meantime, we have a new guest, Mohammed. He's waiting from such a long time. Hi, Mohammed. Namaste. How are you doing?
Hi, Namaste. How are you? Hi,
So
So
everyone.
Mohammed is
Mohammed has a relative in UK, if I'm not wrong. I mean, I was with him in one of
My
the
younger
earliest.
brother is working with
Yes.
NHS
So
as a clinical
yes.
scientist
So,
there.
sir, I just wanted to ask you that what is happening with NSH now, because previously England was more touted towards the herd immunity principle, and now we've learned that they have gone into a lockdown now. So virtually they
But
have come the whole cycle.
actually, Ankit was telling just right now, there is a different approach from the different countries. See, China and Korea, Singapore, they have taken their own practice. Like they hit back to the corona, And when we talk about the bigger countries like India and even the renowned country like UK and the US, they are targeting some other ways. In UK, it is not like India. They are working right now. Still, they are working. They are going offices as well. Groceries are open, and facilities are. See, single person can go anywhere right now. So their approach is something different. They feel that everything should go on, move, show must go on. Formula is they are following. So, but they are. This is a very dangerous situation right now. They plan to lock down for 6 months in a big way. But still, there is something when we talk about the UK and the America, the President Donald Trump is also ready to lock down like India, the way India has locked down. So ultimately, UK has to follow India's footstep because unless until they cannot control the infection. My brother has got infection of coronavirus, but he knows everything very well. He cured right now. He's okay, but his three friend is still fighting for corona infection. So ultimately, the whole system of UK is still they should think back. They should follow the strict detention. Sorry, lockdown policy. They are having the
So my
medical
question
facilities.
is that when you have neighboring countries like the European or erstwhile European countries, like I mean European Union countries like Spain,
Mhm.
etc., and Italy having this kind of devastation, I mean how wise it is to follow the herd immunity principle. I mean, honestly speaking, there must be something really different, which they must be thinking very differently from what the world is thinking. And Kimberly, one question to you. I really believe that you should pressurize your government to do something around it. Because I presume that US is taking it very, very lightly.
Yes.
No,
So there
I'll
should be
tell you
some
what,
amount of mass movement. Because look at all countries all across. We have Willie from Australia, they are in lockdown. India is in lockdown. I mean,
Absolutely.
we're considered a third world country, yet we are thinking ahead. I don't know what US is thinking. I mean, is it in their over enthusiasm or exuberance they're thinking that they'll get around it? I don't think that's going to be a reality.
I agree with you. The problem is I'm a woman and I'm in the South. And we are not taken very seriously. I mean, if you look at it, we have very few women leaders in this country. The few women who have made it into leadership, I applaud them. But I can scream all I want, and I'm called a liberal or I'm called a Democrat. We label people here, so they're not listening to facts. I try to present facts. I don't take one side or the other, and I agree with you. But I try to present these things as facts. And when I do, it's immediate attack. Oh, you're liberal. Oh, you're Trump. Oh, you're for the other side. And if they looked at my approach, they would see I'm not for either side, but they attack each fact and segregate it. So I agree with you. Somebody needs to say we need to do some of these things. My concern, and I'm going to take this, I wanted Ankit Ankit and I have had this question, but is 21, I want to ask you, Doctor, something. Is 21 days really realistic, given that some of our countries did not take this very serious? Is 21 days really a realistic lockdown number?
I disagree. It needs to be more than 21 days. I am arguing from a logistics point of view. Okay. Hypothetically, let's do it the first test. You put the first test out, the tests come back, you do the analysis of it, and then, okay, you get a result. The
Yeah.
first test group is out. Okay. They may become reinfected. So, hypothetically, we need to do 2 tests per group. That would say, okay, this is clear, this is done. Okay, so
That
then we
is
do not need to come back and revisit this.
that is interestingly
This is
put.
just
That
this is just from a logistics point of view. You do the first test, get the results back in, look at the data, redo a second test. Because we had one guy here tested positive on the first test, tested negative on the second test, and that came through.
And
I I just want to add up. South Korea has proven this thing because South Korea has followed the same way, the way you are giving the guideline right now,
Okay,
and America is following the same way. But South Korea
okay,
has got success very easily and in a very short period of time. So
okay.
it varies from country to country and their facilities
Yes.
as well. Yeah. And on the
So I think
Mr. Mohammed,
South
I would like to disagree with you there with America. I think America is taking it very, very casually. I
yeah,
really
true.
believe, I
uh,
mean, people like Kimberly should have a voice more with America, but I think they're really taking it very, very easy. And I am telling you, they will be in for a very long haul if they keep on taking it, I
True.
mean, this casually.
we
I
have
think we
a
have
mentality of
what we
going
can
to
say
work
is
sick.
with the corona.
Right.
when we talk about the mortality rate in comparison to Italy, the American mortality rate is very less. Why? There is a reason actually. Italy has one of the oldest population in the world with a medium range of 46 years. Nearly
Wow.
60% population is aged 40 years and
Wow.
23% is aged over 65 years. When
Wow.
we talk
That's
about the
a
America has 17% age over 65 years. So they have the
okay.
younger generation, more younger
Yep.
generation. They
Yep.
can fight back with the corona
Yep.
like an army. And
Okay.
when we talk about the India is having the similar number. They have the 17% age over 65 years, but the population is huge, 140 million actually. This is a huge
Yep.
population.
Yep.
But sir,
So
I think that I mean a lot of countries are not sharing the right amount of data. That's what I believe because I
Yes.
have been checking individual websites and individual media presses. The numbers are different from what we are seeing on the global platform. So I'm not sure why it's happening, but I think there is some gap in between. And also, a lot of countries are locked down, so they're not reporting the right cases because of the lockdown.
absolutely.
Do you have
Yep.
any information, Tula,
So
and that?
we need to look at Japan. Japan, the median age is very high. They are very
Yep.
densely populated. They
Yes.
have not locked down and they're doing fair. They're doing fairly well. What is it? The numbers are not being reported that we need to follow. I think
Yes.
Japan is setting a
Doctor,
good example. We need to
I
see that.
absolutely agree with you because I'm a big fan of data, and data
no,
is
no, but
where
I'll tell you.
everything is at. Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, no. I'll tell you what happened. I tried to reach out to a lot of people from Japan, and they're not ready to talk because there is something which they don't want to share, or maybe they don't have the access to discuss. Their main concern was the Olympic because there's huge amount
Yep.
of money involved in that Olympic, and they postponed
Yes.
it for next
Yeah.
year. But
So
I tried
you are
to get
very
a
right.
lot of people on the show, and no one is ready to come and discuss about it.
Yes.
So we are not sure about what's going on in your
Yes.
countries because the media is restricted, not as what we have in India and US.
Yes.
One good
So
one good
that's
And,
why
news
I'm
and
thinking
are
the
you, are
minimum
just
you
that
want to
needs
add
to
up.
happen in all of this is 30 days plus for the lockdown. So that way we can get two sets of data happening and verified. The dilemma with the data is in the recuperation of when it went out and when it gets back, when we reading and the data analysis after the second round. Okay, once we have that, then we can make a definite, okay, this, if we put that through AI, the results would come back, okay, this medicine or this would be the closest. I'm just
Yeah.
working on data. I'm not working on curing antibodies. No, that's, I have no control over that. What I have control of is data. And data will stand up and be counted time and again. I'm a big
So
fan of data.
I want to
But
I am
will
too, but I'm also a big fan of getting the real truth out there.
Yep. Yep.
And stop missing the truth. And this morning I'm reading the news from a reliable news source, supposed to be reliable, ABC, and they predict 8,000 cases in South Carolina by May. But listen to this. They haven't read the memo somewhere. They're still saying warmer weather and social distancing will help. They're still saying warmer weather. So this is America, people. This is America. Okay? They are still saying this is yesterday's 2 days ago. 2 days ago, ABC News reports. So the problem is somebody's not getting a current memo. We're still telling people warmer weather is an effect on the virus. It won't grow, and that's not true. It's the immunity of your body, and we tend to have healthier immunity systems in warmer weather environments because of sun, the way we eat, the way we exercise, what we breathe. And so I think we need to communicate properly, and we need to communicate the proper information, and even our own media that people trust and watch every day. I mean, this is a reporter that everybody trusts every day. And he says here, warm weather and social distancing will help, but that's not it. That's not it.
Kimberly, I have one question. What is the CDC doing?
The CDC said this.
They've gone home?
No. Well, they had somebody become infected, according to the grapevine. But yeah, I think most of them are working home. You have your lab rats who are considered essential. We have non-essential and essential jobs. So we've got our lab, I shouldn't call them rats, but we got our lab people, our lab experts working 24/7. CDC, months ago said warmer weather, speculate as they moved into December and January and February, their tone changed. So the CDC is saying just stay home.
So are they advising the government on this, or I'm just curious to know that are they giving any advisories to people? Are they advising the government on this? And is the government listening to them?
Hold that thought. I got something. It came in the mail. Hold that thought and keep them busy.
Sure.
Ankit, just want to highlight there is a good news.
Yes.
Yes, sir. We'll get back to the same question again. That is 21 days really enough for the isolation, or we should think more, because a lot of people, still traveling not in India but in different parts of the world, and they think that they have those symptoms as of now. Because if you are following the news in India, Kanika Kapoor, she was diagnosed for the 4th time as positive. So, how? Because people are still confused because there is no correct measures or theories coming, and there are a lot of different practices or maybe theories from, like Willie was mentioning something else, and we are having some other news from Italy and Spain and all those countries. So, what is how one should think that 21 days is good enough, and if they don't have symptoms, they can live the normal life and in isolation like the world lockdown is.
The 21 days, I'm sure, was born from a business perspective. The thinking that if you lock down more days, the business is going to impact. But for the life to survive, you need more than 21 days. But when they come up with the number 21 days, they're looking at business. They're not looking at the COVID. They're assuming that after 21 days, things will get back to normal. It will flatten out. That's what they're assuming. Okay? They don't have any data. They don't have any data to prove that 21 days is the figure.
Partially, I would say partially correct on that. See, governments generally are not going to announce a month lockdown like that.
Yes.
So what I presume is that they will test waters, see how it is going,
absolutely,
and then give advisories and keep on increasing the dates and days as it goes by. Because they don't want people to panic, or they don't want people to absolutely go into a resistance kind of a movement against the government. So it's a good way of doing it by doing it stepwise. So that's what the Indian government has also basically done. So they've stopped it for 15 days, then they will reassess. Maybe a day or two before they might extend it for a few days. That's my just an assumption thought. I'm not advocating that. But then this is how it is going to happen and play out.
Do you think if the government, basically don't extend the lockdown, do you think people will come out of the home and start doing the normal life and start working on it?
No, it'll have the exact opposite effect. Because, okay, let's look at this from a metaphysical point of view. Metaphysical. The government, it needs to be seen as a masculine figure. Masculine. like a knight, a king. So when they come up with a dictate, they follow through with the dictate. When the government says, "Oh, and we'll look at the figure as we go," that's not a masculine figure. That's somebody who's like a magician. They come with sweet words to please everybody. What happens with the sweet words? It has the exact opposite effect. That's when you have the riots, because there are people talking, their answers are not being met. So they take the law into their own hands. That's the exact opposite effect. So if the government don't get it right, that's what they will get. They'll get a lot of riots. People will forget about the impact, forget about the coronavirus. They'll be more scared of getting their needs met, their belly full. The food products in the shelves will go hungry. That's what will happen. I'm not trying to scaremongering, but that's the exact opposite of what we're trying to do. That's just my
I'm going
viewpoint.
to share with you guys what just came in the mail today, or actually yesterday. We don't get mail on Sunday, but if you can see, this is a word from our president. It's a postcard that was delivered yesterday. And if I share it with you, let's see. I don't know if you can see it, but I will read this to you. It says, these are the rules, guidelines for America. Listen and follow the directions of your state and local authorities. If you feel sick, stay home. Do not go to work. If your children are sick, keep them at home. Contact your medical provider. If you are an older person or have a serious underlying health condition, stay home and away from other people. If someone in your household has tested positive, keep the entire household at home. Work or study from home whenever possible. Avoid social gatherings and groups of more than 10 people. Avoid eating or drinking at bars and restaurants. I don't agree with this next one either. Use pickup or delivery options, because I think people preparing our food could be sick. Avoid discretionary travel, shopping trips, and social visits. Make them essential only. Do not visit nursing homes or retirement or long-term care facilities unless you are there to provide critical assistance. Then the last steps are critical practice and good hygiene. Wash your hands, especially after touching any frequently used item or surface. Avoid touching your face. Sneeze or cough into a tissue or the inside of your elbow. Achoo, achoo, like our ambassador teaches. And then disinfect frequently. Used items and surfaces as much as possible. Disinfect them as much as possible. Then the last bold of this card, the blue, is even if you are young or otherwise healthy, you are at risk, and your activities can increase the risk for others. It is critical that you do your part to slow the spread of the coronavirus. So what they were telling us, even on March 11th, where they said that warmer environments, young people can't get sick. And I've got this documented because I'm a lab person. I'm going to document when I heard something, especially in something like this. Time stamping things are very important in lab work of any kind, whether you're a computer engineer or a biochemist. Time, date, time, event is always very important, even in law. So when I look at what they were telling us, even on March 11th, we were not getting this information March 11th. We were told something different. There were other people out there trying to say, hey, don't listen to that. The only people I saw that were accurate were some scientists who used what they call GIS. It's data. And they were able to start report. I've got videos from them long time before Trump started saying any of this. But we're saying this now. So let's follow this now. But I agree with Willie and all of the doctors. This is what the U.S. is today. This is what we're saying today. I say try to watch the CDC, but they misinformed us, whether intentionally or not, in the very beginning. I watched a press conference where they were condemned for not releasing information sooner, that they already had information on this, but they kept it confidential. So I don't know who to believe. At the end, we have to believe these kind of conversations because we're real people who seem to be real concerned. We're global experts. We know that. We respect each other. And I thank all of y'all for coming on and sharing these things because I learned so much from you. And hopefully other people who are watching are learning from us. But this is what the U.S. is doing today. So,
Kim, I have a quick question. Do you get the postcard with mask or without mask?
So actually, I wiped it down with disinfectant when it came in. Because, you know, the mail, you have no idea how many other packages it touched.
So I would be happy if the US government will be sending a couple of masks, and this information can be shared on an email or something like that, because I don't know, they're spending on print and on all these things just to making sure that he will be the next PM in line again, president in line.
But what's funny is yeah, but you know, we got ABC News still touting it's safer in warm weather 2 days ago, and we have this coming out. So what are people to believe, right? That's why we want this to be facts, not speculative. But this is what we're getting today. I agree with you. I'll post this on my Facebook so that it can be shared. I will post this on Facebook.
Also, I was following the news that was between Mark Cuban and the 3M mask, because Marx was against the 3M, and he said that they are making millions or billions of dollars by selling those masks to not to the healthcare providers directly, but to the traders who can sell them at a very high cost. That's what's going on. And then Trump was happy that 3M is doing a good job with creating the mask and supplying to the world, or maybe to the countries or to the people who are required. But I have seen a lot of people in New York and in Florida and in California. People are not wearing masks. I don't know what's going on with the mask theory. Do you have any, Kim? You want to share something about it?
And you know my feeling about the mask coming out today, right? I have such a conspiracy theory mind sometimes, but you know, personally, stay home. Don't have a purpose for using a mask. If you're sick, you can make your own mask out of various different materials at home and keep the rest of your family safe, because the mask is not about protecting you from the disease. It's about you protecting others from what you have. So there are various different kinds of masks. Yeah, people are out there making money on all kinds of things. Be careful, only if it comes from your doctor. Even the test kits. Don't buy these rapid test kits that are online. They're not safe. We heard that from Juan, who would probably make millions of dollars selling these test kits to people online. But he said, no, we're selling these to doctors only. Get your test kits from the doctors. Don't buy stuff online. I think people are capitalizing on us, like the ventilators. I just heard a story yesterday that the ventilators went from like $5,000 to $25,000 or something ridiculous like that. People do that. They capitalize on people's pain. Your pain is their gain. Your misery is their wealth. And we have to be careful. Don't think you have to have a mask, right? That's what we've been talking about. So what are your opinions on it, guys? I mean, Mark Cuban, jeez. I need to get him on the show.
So scientifically talking, in the initial phase of the disease, when the numbers were very few, it was advocated that the mask is not to protect yourself, but to the person next to you, right? So it will not prevent the infection, but it will prevent you spreading the infection. But now with the numbers going up, let us consider that all of us are asymptomatic carriers. And now comes the role that everybody should actually be wearing masks once you're out of the houses, so that you consider that you are an asymptomatic carrier, and for your community, you have to wear masks to prevent others from getting infected. So I think masks should be a must. With your kind of population, I think it should be a must. And that too, there is a specific pore size that we say for the mask. The cloth mask has a very high pore size. So a 3-ply mask, a simple 3-ply mask, it has 3 layers of 17 to 22 GSM non-woven polypropylene that we say technically, that would prevent the release of aerosol from your mouth. And it will not prevent the virus from entering, but it would release the aerosol. So I think that kind of a simple 3-ply mask should be good. Yeah, that is what we recommend.
We had doctors come on and say, get the kind that form to the face and clean them. You can't just wear them and put them on the next day. If you picked up contagions, you want to clean them. So, and the biggest contagious part is our hands. So wash your hands before you take them off and wash your hands after you take them off. You doctors probably have a practice for masks. Maybe we need to learn those practices. As you said, there are different kinds. My favorite is this because it's easy.
Guys. Yeah. This is
right,
good for normal person.
But they're
there are CDC guidelines for what mask is for what level of health working. So
this is an art mask. So this keeps contagions of doing artwork, the fine particles from artwork going into the lungs. And some people don't know this, but a lot of artwork has dangerous chemicals. So this, I don't even know what level it is. It's a 3M mask. But we use it for, protecting you if you're doing artwork. So I figured if it protects from artwork, but what I like about it, and I like to use it as an example, is that it forms to the face really well, to your mouth, to protect you. But I don't use these to protect me from other people. I use this to protect other people from me, or to protect my lab work from me. And this, we were taught this in clean labs a long time ago. And I had a refresher course in that back in December when I visited a clean lab. It's good to always revisit those practices. But I just, common sense, which I gather a lot of people don't have. Stay at home if you're sick. Don't spread the disease. Protect your family. Wipe your surfaces. I mean, these are common everyday practices that we should get in discipline for to prepare us probably for bigger challenges in the future. They're good habits. And I will share this with you. I worked with the Japanese for 5 years, maybe a little longer. I studied their culture, their language, and they're going to contain themselves. They have that foundation. And they're going to be very quiet about it until they know 100% they're okay. And so they have a very strong discipline to self-contain. They have they leave their shoes at the door. I think other religions practice this as well, and cultures. But they're very healthy lifestyle, just like the people in India and other countries who eat healthier. who intake a lot more of the healthier food produce than what we do in America. I mean, here in America, potato chip is considered a vegetable. Ketchup is considered a vegetable. So we have to get smarter, and I think other countries are, and we're lazy. So, but I think we're going to pull out just fine because we always have. It doesn't correct the mortality rate and those who have died. But let me ask you, doctors, when we talk about these healthy lifestyles, do you think that we'll continue them after this?
I think
That's a tough question.
I think the panic that this has created, and the panic that there would be a second wave, and the thing that we know nothing about this virus, how it's going to behave. There are going to be a lot of behavioral changes in people. Maybe there would be an advisory after the lockdown, say a 20-day plus a few weeks more, which we are expecting, which we are really expecting the government is going to extend the lockdown period. I think you would be seeing more number of people wearing masks. We would be probably adopting the Japanese model of wearing masks everywhere. There would be more hand washing places everywhere. We have a state of Kerala that we can look up to, and they have provided hand washing wash basins, which are the soap dispenser is foot controlled on all the public places on at bus stations, right, bus stops. So I think there are going to be a lot of changes. People are going to be very, people are going to be the namaste that I think the world is saying, the namaste or adab that everybody is celebrating, or the bow. So the handshaking, I think people will pull away from handshaking, from hugging, and there would be more use of dispense sanitizers all over. We really feel, as medical person, we are already contemplating that how we are going to spread out the waiting area from now on. Like, this can just hit you anytime. What kind of chair material would we have? Would we have an absorbable? Would we have a washable chair material? So we all are contemplating what we will be doing in future after this is over, and that would need to be continued. There will be modifications in our examination machineries. We are going to put on screens. We would like to have a lesser contact time, a more distance from the patient. Yes, there would be a lot of behavioral changes after this period is over.
So as Dr. Aman mentioned that life after Corona would be more difficult, and we have to change our lifestyle. Then only we can survive. Because today is Corona, tomorrow maybe some other virus is coming up. So we have to be make sure that we have all those gears ready and we take all the right precautions so that we can fight it. And always try to increase your immunity by ways and means so that we have enough immunity to fight within ourselves as well. Is that correct, Dr. Tula?
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with you there. So ultimately, I mean, see, you can call it, I won't say it is a blessing in disguise, but it is something which at least will try to put some discipline into us Indians.
Yeah.
I really think, I mean, this is an opportunity. We should take a leverage of an opportunity out of it and try to self discipline ourselves. I mean, essentially, that the government cannot discipline ourselves.
Yeah.
We have to discipline ourselves. So
That
if
is
we
what.
can, I mean, though we are over a 1 billion, country of people,
People.
we can still try to maintain some kind of social norms like social distancing henceforth also. Even if when this, I mean, epidemic thing dies over, I think we can do a lot of things if we can just train ourselves mentally into a lot of good things out of it. So I mean, it all is not negative with this. We can learn a lot of positives out of this also. Apparently, our healthcare will also get a boost after this, because now I think the government has also realized that ultimately, I mean, parking your money in other sectors and caring less for healthcare is not going to lead to dividends in the near future. Because as Dr. Aman said, that yes, today we have one virus, tomorrow you will have another. I mean, there will be, I mean, with the kind of influx happening all across, people going to different countries, coming back from different countries. I mean, there are going to be, this is going to be the new social norm now.
Yeah.
So the sooner we realize it, the better it is for us.
So, sir, do you think we should follow the same way what we do while visiting Africa? That the yellow fever, we take the right precautions and vaccine before reaching to the African continent?
Sir, unfortunately, as we don't have a vaccine for this, it is very difficult to try and get into the
Maybe
vaccine
later
mode.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but maybe later on we can do that also. See, I mean, honestly speaking, very few people are traveling to Africa. I mean, I pity those guys. I mean, unfortunately, not
Doctor,
sounding
our Doctor Sagu, the
politic,
smartest,
yeah. So not
he used to
sounding politically correct, because
yeah,
I am generally very politically incorrect. I believe the world has let go of Africa.
yeah,
Why do
So
you believe
virtually,
that? I feel for Africa. They suffer so greatly. Why do you
yeah.
believe?
So they had Ebola, they had everything, and then what was so-called WHO doing? So they were just washing their hands in the literal sense.
yeah, I understand. I completely understand.
What is
So
washing
we
their
have a
hands?
new
I
guest
missed
on our
that.
show.
Yeah, that is what they were doing. They were virtually washing off their hands of Africa. And so now what has happened to us? We are having some kind of pinching sensation for them. We are feeling for them now. But I mean,
Yeah,
who was discussing Africa before?
So the
certainly.
Sasha,
Acha.
Um, I was once in Africa, in Guinea, Republic of Guinea. It's a former French colony. I was there in 1994 with a geologist, and we've got at that time rights for 1,500 square kilometers of diamond exploration, and it was very interesting trip. Number one, they don't have electricity. So when we were in a ministry of natural resources, I noticed that because of lack of electricity, it's impossible to make any copies of maps or do any rudimentary things that we are taking here for granted. It's simply impossible to do there. And I don't understand, unless things radically change lately, which I don't think so. If it will ever hit Africa, how they are going to mitigate that and what's going to happen there, it's I can't even think about it. Now, today, just a couple of hours ago, I've seen the interview with the Prime Minister of Singapore. As you know, Singapore very successfully handled this coronavirus problem. And when somebody would have symptoms, they would not only investigate and test it and trying to cure this person, but they also investigated every person that this person was in contact with in the last at least 2-3 weeks. So that system is so elaborate, and I don't think, even if we wanted to, it would be possible to replicate in US or Canada or elsewhere. Now, something worrisome, he's saying that he's afraid that that could start spreading in India. And because it's a populous country, there could be very, very negative circumstances dealing with this. And I really hope that he is wrong on that. And I hope that Indians will definitely take certain precautions. And well, later on, I will tell you the second part of the letter from Irina Krosh, 7 times ladies chess champion of the United States. I know her personally. And in the first letter, she was hopeful that she's over it. But the second letter suggests something otherwise. It's very troublesome, and I will share it with you.
okay.
So we have a new guest on our show, Sanchit Khanebal from Maryland, and he is supposed to be my younger brother.
Supposed to be.
Welcome, Sanchit. And what do you have to share from
Thank you.
Maryland? What was the story from Maryland?
Hello, everyone. So the story is the same. I mean, it's not just specific to any location. I would say now, um, it's involving everywhere. All the countries, are starting getting affected. So and so do US. I was just looking at the stats today, and it was reaching almost around 1,25,000 here. So yeah, it's very scary. I am sure now. I've seen everybody is actually understanding the criticality and the scary part of this virus, and people are taking measures and precautions now seriously. So I would see. I mean, I'm not sure what will be the what will be the timeline, or when come back to our normal routines. But yeah, this has drastically affect US for sure. uh, I've never seen something like this before. Here, I've not seen my friends, neighbors going out from the past 2 weeks. So and so do we. So it's really difficult situation for everyone out here. Yeah.
And do you have any guidelines from the governor of Maryland that what are the do's and don'ts at this point of time, and
So
how Marriott, where you work, are coping up with the current situation?
So for the first part of the question, right? The governors they have actually told everybody to stay at home. There is a lockdown. The state has already declared as emergency 1 week before. So people are not going out. They are making sure that they are actually taking rightful precautions to fight with this virus. The social distancing is definitely one of the things. All the areas, all the communities out here, all the malls, all the theaters, grocery stores, everything has been closed for a long time. And for basic necessities items, the stores have been open for some of the time, not for the entire time that they usually before doing so. So that's what things, and state has taken a lot of measures, a lot of precautions. And definitely, I mean, every individual has to make sure that they actually understand it. They should follow all this measures and precautions, and collectively work as a good citizen to fight with this virus. uh,
And
yeah.
how's the situation in in your company? Where do you work in
So
Marriott?
I so I work for Sapient Corporation, but yeah, my client was Marriott, and I mean, the hospitality and travel was the first one to hit a lot. The situation can be, really being shown by what the current stock market actually is showing for the shares that they have, and the price value is going like down. Never happened in the 90 years of the whole, tenure of Marriott. The Marriott CEO has posted a video, I guess, last week, when he has shown the dramatic effect of this virus on hospitality domain. So it's really bad phase. Marriott has follow all of their employees, and so do all the service providers have been taken out for temporarily. As of now, they are not working on anything because there is no such bookings happening. Actually, people are not visiting anywhere, and so do there is no travel. There is no hotels reservations happening. So yeah, the business is definitely gonna, it's got affected by this, and it's not a good time for them, because what I've actually heard, that this was never happened when we had 9/11, or when we had Second World War time. During that time also, the marriage still stand, but the corona has really make a lot of effect on the revenue of the whole company.
Well, you make a good point there that this has never happened before. I've been around a long time. I've worked over almost 40 years in the telecom industry as an engineer. And the first thing we were always taught was is if the communications is ever knocked out,
Yeah.
somebody could take over the country. So if you ever knocked out our communications, we would be weakened. Also, the other part was, aiming at the nuclear power plant. So we had all kinds of emergency procedures in place to ensure that we would not ever crash. We have a backup system to a backup system. At least back when I was working in the telecom field, that's how we had to do it. Now I don't know what they're like today. They like, people like to cut corners. We've gotten a little lazy to save money. So that's why you see the reaction that we have today. I believe it's because we slacked off of our quality of service and what we enforce. But you're correct. But as I grew older, I heard and learned that if you take somebody's communication down, you will weaken them. But it will be the biochemical kind of warfare, diseases and viruses. Now, I'm not saying this was done intentionally. I'm just saying we were always told that a virus like this could shut everybody down because you don't know when a person's been infected and it keeps transmitting and keeps transmitting. You can't control that. So my big concern when all of this happened, it was the fact that the jobs were closing down. But when you start closing people from their work, you have people not going to work for communications, keeping our company up. The utilities, right? The power, your gas and water, things that you live off and rely on every day. Fortunately, they're still considering these essentials. The truck drivers, and I hated that they divided things essential, non-essential, because I think every job is important in our economy. What I can tell you is that we will rebuild. It's going to be a long fight for some.
Yeah.
Other people are going to come out of this smelling like a rose. I've been talking with a few people. People are investing in things. They've got the money to invest in things that are going to make them richer from this. We're seeing people take advantage by charging more for products that don't need to be charged more for.
Yep.
But we see this in any situation. And this did not happen in 9/11. And actually, when you look at something like 9/11, we pulled together faster. We unified like instantly. And crime rate went down, just like Ed Kit was sharing with me. The crime rate's down in India. We saw
People
that.
are not going out, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, nobody wants to go out and steal anything. I sure as heck, if I were a thief, I wouldn't want to touch somebody else's stuff. And I want to tell you the dirtiest thing right now, the most contagious thing right now is this.
Yeah.
Okay,
True.
this is not paper. This is cloth, right? And this is probably the most contagious thing we have because how many people have touched this, right? And I just don't think that virus dies overnight. I think it stays around a long time. And it goes into your pocket and your hands and your face. So people laugh at me, but for the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks, every time I would wipe it. Like if somebody gave me money, I would take my sanitary wipes and wipe it. And if I handed money to people and they go, "Are you crazy?" And I go, "No, this is the dirtiest, filthiest product."
No, I mean, this is how we actually need to understand. Wherever we are actually communicating with others, we need to make sure that each and everything out here now means a lot of thing. It means it can create a lot of effect if things are not in place correctly. So we need to be very extra precautions, and that's what I believe everybody should follow at this point of time. Honestly speaking, I have stopped using cash once this whole stuff happened, and we all are using online shopping. We are doing, even for groceries, we are just using some apps to, get the things online. We are making sure wherever possible, we should not be getting in contact with any kind of, exchanges between, anyone. So that's what everybody has to make sure that if they are not too friendly with that, they need to actually learn this thing. And that's what a lot of internet stuff, a lot of mobile apps are actually getting a lot of traffic because people are not going out, they're not using cash, they're not willing to actually come out of their houses. So definitely I would totally understand. I totally agree with you that uh, this is not the right time to show up how much bugs that you have in your pocket. Use a
No.
plastic, yeah, use a plastic money, and then that will be unfavorable for you.
So let me ask. So let me explain something to you. In my lifetime, working in big corp before I branched out and started owning my own companies, we would. I was there when the layoffs would happen, and the layoffs back in the 80s and 90s, they were generally used as a means to adjust the profit and loss reports. You know, you lay off all of the people costing you money, your profit goes up, you get more investors, and then you hire those people back. Some, not all. Um, I think today the layoffs they thought was a means to protect themselves real quick. You will see majority of you will have to be rehired back because they're going to need you. So take this time to do those things because I used to counsel people who were in layoffs. Use that time to to do the things you said you were going to do if you had time to stay home. In 21 days, which is less time than, or 80 days, that's a less time than what it takes for people to find a job when they're laid off. Hired back because they're going to need you. So I would like to know when they laid people off at the Marriott at that big bulk rate, which I realized was a panic solution. Did they say anything like, we'll consider rehiring you back after this is over? Was anything like that mentioned?
So they have not officially lay off anyone. They have just put the people on furlough for 3 months as of now.
Okay.
And yeah, so uh, yeah, I mean, since we don't know how long it's going to happen and how long, once the systems come stable back, the timings that all the employees associates of Marriott has given is 3 months as of now. They have asked to look for other jobs because Marriott also understand, people have to get something to get their essential needs done, and they are just going to cover the benefits, the medical benefits here, and some very nominal salary will be created in their accounts. But yeah, I mean, there is no communication as if after 3 months what will happen, because no one knows what will happen after 3 months. It can extend, it can reduce within 2 months also. So I mean, it will be decided at then at what will be the situation of the country, how the market has gone up, how the hotel industries are again coming back to normal, if people are starting traveling or not, because everything is based on when we actually start into day-to-day traveling routines. A lot of companies here, they have travelers, and people travel and then they actually stay in the hotels. So for them, it depends on how it's gonna be after 2 months, 3 months. I would say that's the point wherein they can make up a rightful decision for the associates, how they're gonna make it forward, whether it has to extend, whether we want to take a bunch of them and start doing and working on those leftover parts. It's totally. I mean, we can't just tell, and nobody can tell now as of what will happen.
No, you're right. And can you do the world a little bit of a favor here? Explain the difference between a layoff and a furlough, because a lot of people don't understand the difference. I'm sure you've learned a lot through this, haven't you?
Ca- Can I add up something good news?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
see, firstly, hats off to the medical fraternity. 18 patients admitted from the Italy in India, and 12 patients cured completely. And the most
Wow.
important thing that corona is targeting above 60s, and all those cured 12 patients are having the age of above 70s, and they are totally cured, and they gone back to their own country.
On a
Luckily,
special flight.
they were in India actually, and they got the best of the best treatment out here with full love and affection and
Without
full
any
prayer
cost.
as well, without any cost. And we proud to be a good citizen here I'm praising to the country as well. And the most important thing, the rest six patients who are still in hospital, and they are from the Italy. Hopefully, they will be cured completely. And it is a success story of the Indian doctors. And really, we I'm salute to those the doctors who treated them very well with love and affection. Second
Wow.
thing, see, we should not be panic. What will happen tomorrow? We don't know. Our life is.
Right.
I'm in second. I will be nowhere. I may die. I may live. So we should not worry about the tomorrow. We should live in 2 days only. See,
See,
21 days lockdown is just to take a complete precaution because the incubation period is for
right.
14 days, right? So 7 days is extra because of the some person are violating the norms actually. So they may be the extended 1 week also. Hopefully we will be on the right track as well in India. So we should not worry right away from here. See, I have my own company and employees are not coming to the office, but I'm committed. I will pay them salary before on time without any interest. So this is the time to stop the interest. We have to take care the interest of others, those associated with us. We
Yeah.
have to be more human loving. We should be taking care the humanity first. For
And
I
Prabhat,
example,
I
I
would like
totally
to,
I
I would,
totally second, and I just wanted to add one thing here. I mean, this is the time where actually we need to understand the importance of life.
absolutely.
We should be so lucky. We should, think that we are so lucky to have this life, and we should, spend this 21 days, whatever we have not done, whatever we actually thought of, we didn't get time in our day to day life. So there's a lot of things that we can, totally achieve. It's not just sitting at home, you're just wasting hours. It's not like that. You can spend your time with your family. I spend my time, with my kid. He's one, and I actually usually don't get time, and we usually go on office and routine work. We just spend, he goes to daycare, and now he's at home. I can see everything, every single thing that he's doing. So it makes you feel good. Spend good time, understand the importance of how beautiful the life is. Just be precaution, just take care of yourself, your surroundings. That'll just remove everything. I would say something which is not in our control. We should not just panic about these things. Uh, this is something which we can control by just making sure that we are taking the right precautions, and if we are doing the right thing, we also expect that the other is also doing that, and things will automatically sort down after some time. So that's the optimistic foresight or approach that we should all think of, and just use this 21 days as the best as what we have never done that in past. So
Just want to add up. I just want to
so we
add up
completely
two
agree,
things.
and the viewers are also agree with the way we have to be positive and we have to stay ahead and plan for our future and utilize this time to make ourselves more stronger, increase our immunity, and spend quality time with family, and learn a lot of new things which you might be lacking in while doing your day-to-day job. So, Sabah, I would like to ask you one question because a lot of viewers are asking that. What happened to the medicine supply around the world? How is it going right now? And what are the concerns, if any, we have in this current scenario?
See, very good questions. India says that India is a pharmacy of the world. Means every pharmacy, India is actually a global supplier of the medicine. India supplies approximately 20% medicine to the world, 80% HIV drugs to the world, 40% India supplies to the US and 25% to the UK. So it is a duty of Indian pharmaceutical industry to continue this export to these countries actually, because Corona has right now got the global citizenship. They entered into the more than 200 countries. Right now they are into the 202 countries. So, being a pharmacy of the world, Indian pharmaceutical industry should take care the shortage of the medicine across the world. Right now, India has stopped restricted 26 essential medicines, and the other medicines are also restricted because There is no flight, there is no cargo as such going on. So it is a time to see WHO kind of the organization should come forward and to resume this export to those countries across the world. So right now there are few countries they whom they were demanding medicine on the basis of registration first, but right now they are demanding medicine without registration because shortage of medicine across the world. Maybe those who are very developed countries, they might be having, but I'm talking about the UK. There is a huge shortage of paracetamol. So who will take care of that? So ultimately India should come forward, Indian pharmaceutical industry should come forward to save the life of the humanity. It is a time to prove that you are a real hero and you are a real pharmacy of the world.
And Shabas, to add this point, do you think India have enough supplies or enough raw materials to develop those medicines which are not available in most of the countries at this point of time?
See, Corona started in the month of December, okay, and I've been to Kyrgyzstan in the month of January. So most of the manufacturers, Indian manufacturers out here, piled up huge raw materials out here, and I think we are still having. We can face the shortage till July. We're not worried about the July when the raw material is not supplied very well. But the good news for us that in the month of mid of March, uh, China started shipping the raw material. So there should not be any shortage because China is a global. They are manufacturing 50% of APIs of the world, and India is number one in the formulations manufacturing. So there should not be any shortage as such. Is it the right
So
summary?
when you talk about APIs, can you elaborate what are APIs, because our viewers are not aware about APIs and
API
yeah.
is an active pharmaceutical ingredient that requires, it's the raw material actually that requires to manufacture any medicine. And formulation is a complete medicine actually. So we buy raw materials, we means whole 50% of the world buys raw materials to manufacture the medicine. And China is number one manufacturer in the world for the raw materials. They are manufacturing for the 50% requirement of the world. And India is a manufacturer, global supplier of the finished medicine actually.
So
Okay.
Yes.
I
So,
just this is I'm glad we finally got to this conversation. It's hard to get one on one with you, Dr. Muhammad, and I'm so glad that you stick around and are very patient with us. But let's talk more on the pharmaceutical side of this and getting the resources. How has this impacted your business as far as, I mean, this has got to hit you guys too because you're trying to deliver the pharmaceuticals that we need. We've got a rush request on solutions that pharma doesn't have yet. What is going on in your world? How do we differentiate the real stuff from the fake stuff? Because we had President Trump touting the malaria drug is going to save people, and then you got people trying to self-treat with the chemical compounds from that. If there's a message that you would get out to us, that we're going to get the medications that we need. That the pharmaceutical industry is taking this very serious, and that's why you've been coming and sharing with us. But I mean, this has got to be a huge impact on you right now. How is that impacting your what you're doing?
Actually, I am an exporting pharmaceutical medicine to the few countries. And on the other hand, I have one company that takes care of regulatory and drug safety. And the most important thing for India, we have sufficient amount of the malarial drugs, oxychloroquine, that requires, especially that is indicated for the healthcare workers like doctors, nurses,
Exactly.
and staffs. Because see, one medicine can prevent them from infection for a week of time. So it is a need of the hour of that medicine. and we have sufficient amount of raw material and the formulations as well to take care of the world. But WHO should come forward first to share the data where is the shortage of the medicine across the world. But WHO is not coming up forward. It is a responsibility of the WHO only, and even the Indian pharmaceutical industry. Both should join hands together and to resolve the issues immediately, because see, corona is targeting the few thousands only, but the other disease like HIV is a very serious disease as well, and the diabetes, see, for those kind of asthmatic patients as well, so they require huge medicine. We have to save life of those disease, those who are having those diseases as well. So WHO and Indian pharmaceutical industry, global pharmaceutical industry should join hands together and to resume the supply of the medicine across the world right away without any delay, because we cannot stop our blood, we cannot stop breathing ourselves. So it is like just like an oxygen for everyone.
Okay, so what you're saying is we need more information from our leaders called WHO, which World Health Organization. A lot of products that I've helped people in the startup world, we would have to go to WHO to get license and certifications. We're waiting for them. Why do you think they're not being as quickly responsive?
See what happens in medicine. Registration is mandatory everywhere for medicine. Without registration, we cannot export to any country of the world. But right now, situation is something different. So rather than registering the product, it is very easy to check the quality out here in India and to supply those countries where is in need of the hour. And it is only possible when the global leaders can join hands together. Our aim is to convey our information and concern of the world to the global leader like the President Donald Trump and the Shri Narendra Modi ji, because these are the leaders. They can join hands together with the help of WHO and can resolve the issues, can resolve the shortage of the medicine across the world. Because from Kyrgyzstan, 2 days back I got, they are in need of the medicine without registration, but nobody is ready to supply.
And why do you? I mean, if we know that this is going to help people, it might not be the official cure, but if we know that this is helping some people recover, why are we not making a bigger push to get that approved? I mean, we got to take little steps. I understand that, but what do you need from us that we can make this happen? There we go.
Yeah,
What can we do?
your channel is very valuable channel and everybody is watching right now live, and I'm representing the pharmaceutical industry as such, not an Indian pharmaceutical only. I'm representing the global pharmaceutical industry. We are the organizer of Pharma Ratna Universe, means we are giving award to the global pharmaceutical fraternity right now. That's why I'm attached with everybody, and I'm just requesting to the Indian pharmaceutical industry from this channel and to the government of India as well to join hands together with the President Donald Trump and the other parts of the world leaders to provide the shortage of medicine across the world right away. It is need of the hour, because we have to save the life of everybody. See, Corona is killing us, but Corona is not very much dangerous. We can control on Corona within a month or two, but those who are having the HIV, those who are having the diabetes and asthma and the cancer, they need medicine, because medicine is a life for them.
And
So
I
we
agree
should
with you. We
aim.
need to, you make such a good point that we need to continue treating the diseases we already have. We can't just stop. Like I need continued treatments as well, monthly. And everything has been stopped at the facility until they get this under control because the doctors were getting sick. They were scared of the spread themselves and that people were not paying attention and staying home like they should. But then I think they opened their eyes and they realized, oh my gosh, you don't have to be showing symptoms to be contagious. So they're just taking that precaution all the way around. But there are people who have life-threatening diseases is that if they don't get their treatments, cancer patients, HIV patients, if they don't get the treatments that they're accustomed to, that their body's accustomed to, they can become very sick and deadly too. How do we balance this, Dr. Mohammed? Do you have any advice?
See, it is a very simple thing because see, now it is corona is not a challenge for any country, any particular country. It is a challenge for the global community right now. And see, we have to fight with this corona, but ultimately, see, in India, finished products are already available right now. Even there is no need to manufacture right now because we always have a stock in hand to take care at least 3 to 6 months of time, and we have sufficient amount of medicine. We can even take care of India, and we can take care of the global community right away. It is just a matter of decision of the authority of the India and the authority of other parts of the world. Just they have to join hands together via video conferencing, and just right away they can give the green signal. Okay, fine, we have to serve the humanity right away.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, we can't forget the people who are still sick with other diseases. We need to look forward a little bit, but take care of what we have today first. And I think
We
that's very
have,
sound. Sasha?
yeah,
So just want to inform you that approximately 20 to 30% population of the world are diabetic. 20 to
That's huge.
30%. When we talk about even 20, you can take a lesser amount. 20% means 1.4 billion. It is a huge population.
huge
We
number.
cannot ignore the billion populations. They are having the diabetes. And most important thing, due to the depression and due to the panic, new diabetic patient will come also, because once we are panic, we are depressed, our insulin goes down, because then sugar level will grow up, and those who are having the diabetes, they must be having the blood pressure also, high blood pressure. So population, the new generation will be in a very challenging mode actually. So it is a need of the hour to make a good decision, and we have to take care the humanity as the whole world of the populations right away.
Shabbat, I have a quick question that at the country level or at the state level, do we have any kind of database where we are managing the medicine stocks, that what is left and how much is available? Because in the disaster situation, these things will work it out. But maybe in a general day-to-day scenario, I think that doesn't make sense. But in these difficult situations, because as you said that European countries doesn't have the paracetamol, but does the government know that what medicines they have in the country and what doesn't, what they don't have, and what kind of medicine they require at this point of time? Do we have any kind of database?
See, India is having an organization, Export Promotion Council. An export promotion council is associated with the global pharmaceutical industry, and they regularly inform to the export promotion council of India that what is the status of the medicines availability actually across the world. But right now everything is stopped. So the moment they export promotion council of India, because they are well aware about the situations, but the most important thing, the consignments are not moving out actually. So without the involvement of government, even many consignments are lying on the port right now. So we have to have a good conferencing with the government, because the government is the only authority they can make a decision. There is no issue of the availability of finished products. Finished products are already lying on the port.
Okay. So, Shabazz, we have one request from one of our viewers that they are not able to hear your voice. So
Mhm.
that's why I've mentioned that clip on Facebook. It's mentioning here. And
Okay, is it?
also, when you talk about the export thing, I agree with the association. But what I want to understand is that, are we maintaining the stock at the government level, that the government knows that how much medicines they have in the country and how much they need at this point of time? I'm not talking about the associations. I'm talking about the Ministry of Health.
Mhm. See, it is a time to produce more and more for the global community, because it is in need of the hour actually. Because see, we can eat once in a day, but we cannot stop medicine if we are having to take a medicine twice in a day, because that can save my life. So India is very much strong in producing medicine and take care the global community right away. And India government has given exemption also those who are associated with the healthcare industry, those who are involved with the manufacturing of medicine, masks, medical devices, surgical goods and all.
Okay. So, Sasha, back to you. Do we have any stories from around the world, the real stories on COVID, which our viewers can listen today?
Well, a few days ago, I was talking about a friend of mine, Irina Krosh. She's in New York. She's 37 years old and very good health. And and she published her letter about 10 days ago that she's got infected by coronavirus. Forgot to tell you that she's 7 times ladies chess champion of the United States and one of the strongest grandmasters in the world. Just to have an idea, actually, who she is. Okay, now I just got yesterday second publication from her, and I would like to read it to you very quickly so you would understand the scope of the problem from a real person. It's not statistics, how many people got the infection and how many people died or didn't die. This is exactly a human person that I know personally. And it would be very interesting to see how that all has been developed. In a sec, I'm trying to find her post. I had it ready, but but then I got into something else. So if I'm going to now, mind you, it's actually she published it in English, so I should be able to easily find it. Mm,
So, in the meantime, I'll just share a quick facts that around the world that what's going on. Uh, so, we have the number of cases grown up from 600,000 to 700,000. So, at the moment, we have around 722, 702,022. That's the number of cases we have right now, and the death rate is around 33,178. I'm trying to share my screen, so I think we have some technical difficulties at this point of time. So I'll try to fix it up as soon as I can. And if I'll talk about the US, we have around 7,800 new cases in US with 100 people died today, and the total number of mortality rate is 2,300. This is just about USA. So, and if I'll talk about the Italy, then we have around 10,000 total mortality rate with 756 people died today. So I think cases are growing on in all these countries every now and then. We don't want to scare the live cases because people get panic, and that is what we don't want. We just want to let them know to stay at home and try to keep yourself safe and healthy. Sasha, you got the letters ready?
yes, ready. Okay, let me know when I can start.
You can start now.
Okay. Uh, it's published March 26 by Irina Krosh. Hello, my dear chess friends. So one thing I have seen from this disease is that it doesn't follow a linear path. When I wrote my post last Friday, I felt pretty decent. Ironically, I started feeling worse after the post, more chest constriction, more labored breathing. Bad enough that on Saturday night after midnight, I decided to return to the hospital. The hospital is about the last place you want to be in these times. Already on Saturday night, I had so many more people than on Tuesday when I had first checked in. There seemed to be just one doctor working that night amidst dozens of patients. Understandably, it was hard to get any attention. They look at chest x-ray. I'm not really sure what they showed, since my initial chest x-ray on Tuesday had shown nothing amiss and only the CT scan caught the problem. Measured my vitals again, and that was it. At 7 a.m., they told me that I was discharged. Fortunately, I felt better enough. The grip this thing had over my chest eased up, and I could not be more happy to go home. The conditions at the hospitals are difficult, at least the one in Brooklyn I visited. There are just too many people. It seemed like unless you are in total distress, you'll just have to sit and wait. But from the time I left on Sunday morning, I started feeling better. The chest constriction let up and my breathing became easier. I noticed I didn't need to take this deep breath in order to get the air in. How do you know when you are feeling better? When you're not thinking about how you're breathing and you have no thoughts of returning to the hospital. I definitely thought the worst was over. It had been 10 days since I'd first developed the shortness of breath, and I could basically function normally. I'd felt well enough to teach us an hour or two of online lessons over these last days. In terms of my medications, from Saturday night to Wednesday night, I was taking hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. But somehow today, the necessity for deeper breath returned. Breathing became more noticeable. The lessons had to be postponed for a future time. Another symptom I'd had for a while now has been soreness of the chest muscles, especially on the left side. Not sure if it's from inflammation or the constriction. The virus had not been an easy opponent, but I'm hopeful that this wave will recede too. Thank you guys so much for your messages of support and wishes for my recovery. Please keep me in your thoughts. Thank you, Irene.
I think that the story was really amazing, and then after listening to all these things, people have those goosebumps, and then that's what we wanted to convey, that we have to be realistic with the situation, and that's what we can fight it out. Sasha, your thoughts on the story?
Sorry?
Your thoughts on the story?
Uh, Not yet.
No, what do you think? After reading the story, what kind of feelings or emotions you were expressing at this point of time?
I'm really worried about her because that was her second letter. I remember that the first letter was much more
Yeah,
optimistic than the second one, because at
yeah,
first letter I felt that she's young, she's 37 years old, she's in very good health, she's playing tennis, and she's physically fit. So I thought, okay, so she'll struggle maybe for another few days, and slowly things will get better. And they did. However, the second letter now shows that actually it came back and in more violent form, because if she had difficulties to breathe, she had to go to the hospital to get treatment. And I still don't understand what kind of treatment she's got there. I mean, the x-rays, I don't consider it to be a treatment at all. So things, it's not very, very optimistic, and it's not what I really wanted to hear from her. I would like to add something else about one more thing. I remember now from the interview of Prime Minister of what he's saying is that the basically from the health point of view, they already, if not completely defeated coronavirus, but at least they're on their way to recover. But economically speaking, what he's saying, and this is how the world interconnected, they cannot really get their economy back on its feet simply because all other countries that they have economic relationship, they are absolutely devastated, most of them, and therefore a Singapore economy, which is obviously export import oriented economy, it cannot get on its feet simply because of the world phenomenon of this coronavirus, and the other countries are not doing their job the way Singapore, South Korea, Taiwan, other countries do it. So this is a message basically to all world leaders that they have to step up their ways to fight the coronavirus. And because of that, the economy, it's all interconnected. It's not just because you're fighting coronavirus, your economy will suffer, and so on. I mean, it's all interconnected.
Yeah.
The better you'll do on a health issue, the better
Yeah.
you'll do for your economy. That's in
True.
my opinion, it's obvious.
I completely agree, and we agree on the IMT as well that people to people connect is what's happening around the world, and that's why the coronavirus is spreading across. And we have to keep ourselves safe and healthy, and try to wash our hands regularly, and do not touch your face. Use the elbow. Keep checking your feelings, and stay happy and enjoy the family time because this time won't repeat again. And this could be a golden opportunity for everyone to have a good strength and to create good immunity around the world. And I think it's time to wrap up. So before I wrap up, I'll just play a message from one of our ambassadors. Let's play it.
Coronavirus से कैसे बचेंगे? ये हैंड होकर और ऐसे अपने खांसी जब आएगी तो ऐसे करेंगे अच्छू अच्छू और कोरोना वायरस को धन्यवाद हमारा म्यूजिक सुनने का.
Well done.
So that was a sweet message from one of our ambassadors.
Well done.
And thank you very much for joining us. And we look forward to see you tomorrow. And our message is clear that stay away from work, stay at home, use the phone, and keep yourself healthy and smart. That's what I can say. Thank you very much. Namaste to everyone. Take care.
Take care. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.